Where's the chat, though? No chat. Fuck. Am I live on YouTube? Are we up and walking on YouTube? Are we down and sleeping on YouTube? Massey better. Oh, wait a minute. Massey. Wait. Thomas Massey election. What's the name of the score? What, the board? Table board? What's the name of the website for elections? Fuck. Yeah, bad news. Shut the fuck up. Stop. Thomas Massey lost. No! 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 No way. No way. Oh my God, stop. Wait a minute. Stop. Wait. Election tracking. No! No! Shut the fuck up. No. Oh my God, no. Oh, that's so bad. Oh no. Oh my God. Oh my God. What? He lost? What? Oh my God. Hold on. That's not a good sign. What? What was the polling looking like before? Did it look good for Massey? Was the polling good for Massey? Oh, fuck, that's bad. Holy shit. R.I.P. King, though. Listen. Decision desk. 50-50? Fuck. Wow, well, that's not a surprise. That still kind of sucks, though, right? You don't want Massey to lose and get replaced by a fucking Trump sycophant. Volume is low? Well, how about you raise your volume then? I'm joking. The volume is way too high. It is not it is a you problem. I'm so sorry. I have the notch set to like almost the max. Listen, slow down, Dave. Dave, chill. Chill, Dave. Jeez. Ooh, fuck. What district is he? Everyone make sure you're liking and sharing the stream, by the way. Let's try and get to 5K likes. You better fucking like. You better like the fucking stream. Listen, Thomas Massey, I'm sorry. Okay? I'm sorry. If I would have gone live, I could have energized your base. They could have voted for you in droves on the final day. I'm so sorry. I should have gone live. You can blame that one on me. Okay? Yeah, I'm gonna look at the camera. Just so it's emotionally, you can tell I'm invested. I'm so sorry, Thomas. Maybe next time. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That's a heartbreaker. You know, me and Massey were great friends. Great friends. Never. Fucking loser. Bitch, don't think I forgot he's a fucking Republican. Okay? Once a Republican, always a Republican. Okay? Yo, David, oil up for us. This is not the website to do that on, Queen. I'm so sorry. If you want, listen, I'm going to take your commissions, but listen. Would I be a pro-Israel? Who knows what I'd do for a check? You know? So, for now, it's, we're against that kind of restriction. Wow. Soft. Hashtag soft alert. David, you can't be that desperate. You can't be that desperate. Oh, desperate for what? What, you think OF girls are desperate? You fucking misogynist. You're disgusting. I'm joking. TikTok, relax. It's just a joke. Just a joke, you know. Just a cheeky little joke, you know what I'm saying? Calm down, TikTok. Don't get mad at me. I love you, TikTok. LMFAO, you think that's fucking funny? My dismay. You laugh at my dismay. So bad. So bad. Bad people everywhere, apparently. Thought there was good people left in this country. Guess I was wrong. No MAGA, by the way. No MAGA. Am I misandrist? I am a misandrist on God. What's that one mean? That you don't like men? Wow. Even worse. I'm going to act like I'm not offended. Because it's like the cool thing. To be nonchalant. But Lord knows I'm offended. I'm MAGA. Thank goodness there's a Republican who loves their country. There are Republicans who love their country, sorry. Who in particular? El David Mauricio. That is my name, sir. Yes, that is my name now. That is my name on the house. I'm a brave. Listen, all these people are saying I'm doing this because I want my accounts to be like uniform across platforms. No, we're doing this because we love Mexico and Spanish speakers. And I did not assimilate. We did not assimilate. I care about the Mexican Constitution. Not the American one. I care about Mexican laws. Not the American ones. Lord knows that's the case. Liberals hate the country. It's so funny. Just good timing. Good timing. Liberals hate the country they live in. They are enemies at home. I'm just joking. I love America. I wouldn't be doing this if I fucking hated America. I could just go back to Mexico. That's always your guys' suggestion. I wish I had a chat on my YouTube. This is very heartbreaking. Viva Taco Martes. That was so good one there, you know? So good one. Yes. Say Americans before illegals? What do you mean? Like, what do you mean before? Am I like lining them up? What is this hypothetical? What is this about? Sir. The camera's making it look like I have no eyebrow. It's kind of pissing me off. I had Taco Bell for Taco Tuesday. Wow. Rather fund a white capitalist, settler colonial, misogynist, supremacist, ethno-state fucking food chain than go fund a local Mexican restaurant. Give them money. Exactly. Everyone see what he is. He hates America. I hate America. Why? 54 to 4. Ooh, he got fucked. Holy shit. Why don't Republicans like Thomas Massie anymore? I wonder why. We got surveys on that. Any surveys? Do we have the surveys? Can we check out those surveys? You love illegals. I love all people. All lives matter. What happened? What happened? All lives matter, bro. All lives matter, dude. Fuck. What happened? I'm going to restart stream because we got flagged. So if you want to continue seeing my free page, drop a follow. If you're new. And for now, I'll give you 2 seconds. 5, 4. Not illegals? Well, they're lives, aren't they? That's what you're saying? Should abortions be okay if it's illegal procuring the... I'm sorry. My bad. I'm gonna... Give me a second. I'm going to restart stream. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See you on TikTok. Not on YouTube, though. If you're on YouTube, I love you. Am I even live on YouTube? Hold on. Let me view the channel. Live? Oh, he's live. He's live, though. 1 viewer! Not in the chat, though. Oh, he's live. He's live, though. 1 viewer! Not in the chat, though. That's really loud. How's the mic sound? He's live, though. 1 viewer! Not in the chat, though. That's really loud. How's the mic sound? He's live, though. Okay. No, I don't want the echo. I'm sorry if you're hearing the echo and you're on the YouTube chat, but we're going to restart the bit on a TikTok. On TikTok. There you go. Back at it. Running it back. What can I say, America? I feel like the closer I get to the camera, the more distorted my fucking face gets. When I move out, it looks so great. And then when I get close, it looks kind of fucked, doesn't it? Weird how that works. Angles and stuff, cameras. Whatever that fucking means. Lord knows I don't care. That's on God. Oh, ¿qué queremos ver? Hola, Mats. ¿Cómo estamos? How's it going, Mats? That username sounds familiar. Ballroom complete September 28th. He ain't leaving freedom of speech. Just watch. Boom! Patriot alert! We just got a patriot in the chat. Super patriot. You're such a patriot, you know. Restarting live. If you're just joining, make sure you like and share. You better be liking and sharing. I'm going to get relatively upset. Okay, please like and share the stream. Can you do that for me? How's it going? Poutine, miss you, my French queen. Yeah, we have a lot in common. Both from Quebec, you know. That's what my ancestor DNA told me. A lot of the Quebecian blood in my veins. Running through my veins. Not Trump, David. Trump is a patriot. Trump is a patriot. He says what he wants to say. He's not scared. And he is white. Sorry. Facts don't care about your feelings, sweetheart. We're both foreigners that dare speak about U.S. politics. Listen, I'm a naturalized American citizen. So, I don't know about you, but I'm an American. Okay? I'm a fucking American, brother. He came out on another... What?
I know that the LGBTQ movement is a Marxist movement.
Fuck. That's a new one. Look, I know that's right. I do feel a little Marxist whenever I'm around. I'm joking. I'm joking. Relax. Slow down. Listen. It's okay to make jokes about a game when you're playing on the court. You catch my drift. Carl incoming. Who the fuck is Carl? Thomas Massey lost. I saw that. Very sad. Not really. Not really sad. I'm not gonna lie. Listen, is it sad though? You know, yo B, how's it going, AK? I remember that from yesterday. The B, yes. What was her name? What was her name? I forgot that girl's name. What was her name? Ooh, she was talking so much shit. Jesus Christ. What am I supposed to do? Oh, call for the engagement. There you go. Sorry, I have a little list on the top left of my screen right there whenever I forget to do what I have to do. Can you explain why people like Massey? Well, Republicans like Massey because he separated himself from the, I guess, establishment on a few key issues. The Epstein files, war in Iran, spending, and the price of goods, the price of consumer goods. So he's managed to gather up some respect amongst people from both sides of the aisle. But sadly, I guess that respect and that appreciation for his principled nature, his posture, his spine, did not translate to an election victory this time around, which is so sad. Truly heartbreaking. Super sad. Let's watch Trump at the Fortress construction site. We can check that out for sure. He voted against spending under Biden. No, he voted against spending under Trump. Because he's a fiscal conservative. You know, a lot of people say this Massey guy is such a great guy. Host is petrified? No, of course not. How dare you? Oh, we have a... Hold on. Just to troll Thomas, we're going to push to the back of the line. We're going to talk to the Chad first, because Lord knows that Black Bill stuff is real. How's it going, Mr. Chad?
Hello.
Hello. Do you support the current administration?
I do not. But I do think that the Republicans well, I would ask you, let me ask you.
No, what were you about to say? What were you about to say right there?
Well, I had a question. Do you believe that being a Republican is akin to being a Yahtzee?
No, definitely not.
Oh, see, I think this is the reason why the Republican Party continues to maintain a level of relevance in this country. I think
no, it's because it was not the Republican Party position when John McCain was the candidate, when Mitt Romney was the candidate to promote policy or, like, I guess, be an overt supporter of these kind of agendas, like the Great Replacement Theory, or using minority groups as an external locus to pin them, make them responsible, essentially, in the eyes of the American people for all the inconveniences that Americans go through on a day-to-day basis. That was not the position of prime Republican candidates just a couple of years ago. Sadly, under Donald Trump, the Republican Party has turned into that, but not every individual that is of Republican affiliation or is a registered Republican is going to have these ideas, going to, I guess, align with those beliefs.
Okay, and I would say that's where we diverge, and I would argue that while the Republican Party, I guess, like you said, I wouldn't even say a couple years, because a couple years ago, Trump was still a viable political force. He's been a viable political force since at least 2015, so that'd be 11 years ago. So that's a decade. So you could argue that for a decade, the Republican Party has been an overtly white supremacist party. Now before that, it was covertly white supremacist. I would argue both parties are white supremacists, just in different facets.
Okay.
Would you disagree? Would you disagree with that?
Yes.
Wow. Why?
The Democratic Party does not exalt any race over one another. As a matter of fact, I think they've received flack from the Republican Party for being DEI, for discriminating against the white people, I know Charlie Kirk said that a lot. So this idea that they're both white supremacists, I mean, that's almost putting them on the same level, and they're definitely not on the same level.
Hold on, time out. Saying that both parties are saying that hold on. Saying that both parties are white supremacists does not mean that they're the same. It just means one.
It means they're both really bad, though, right? You recognize that? They're both of them are really bad.
I do think. Okay. Well, it's not about. Well, one, I don't believe in the whole both sides thing. I think the Democratic Party is a right-wing party, and the Republican Party is a far right party.
Okay.
Um, and I think that as the Republicans get, and I think this is the limit the Democratic Party is running into, where the Republicans are going further and further and further to the right, and then the Democratic Party um, is trying to move along with it. But I think
Mm-hmm.
because the voters now, I would say, is a little bit more progressive. There's a little bit more of a tug of war that we're seeing play out. And but I think I don't think that if you are a student of American history, you can say that both parties don't exhibit white supremacy. Like they do. It's just in different ways.
So here's the thing, right? I'm assuming you're going to say that there was Democrats in favor of slavery or
No,
Jim
that's
Crow
not my
laws.
argument.
Or, okay, what are you going to say? Because
That's a
why
bad
would you
faith
mention
Republican
history?
argument.
No, it's not a slow down. I'm not asking you to. It's only bad faith because Republicans are trying to say right now as a means to discredit Democrats as they stand in the moment and what their policy prescriptions are or what the core tenets of what it means to be a Democrat is. I'm just curious as to what you mean by a student of U.S. like American history. How is that going to lead you to the conclusion that the Democratic Party is white supremacist in nature?
Well,
I'm just curious.
Well, I mean, the Democratic Party, at the end of the day, there are two things that unites the Democratic and Republican Party, which is I would say imperialism one, two I would say internally domestically, the Democratic Party will never do anything meaningfully at the local, state, or federal level to let me not say local, state, and federal, but mainly at the federal level, the majority of the Democratic Party officials, I'm not talking about the voters, I'm talking about the officials, right now don't believe in abolishing ICE, which will be a very important issue come the presidential election.
Hold on. So one thing you said is imperialism. So when you're using it, I don't know what you mean. So I'm gonna have to assume that it's some very vague, broad catch-all term that encompasses just about any form of U.S. American foreign policy. That's okay. Then what do you mean by imperialism? What do you mean by imperialism?
What I mean by imperialism, I'm talking about military action that displaces or harms people that are outside of U.S. borders.
Well, all military. Okay, so all U.S. foreign policy.
Wait, hold on, but I never made the argument that all U.S. foreign policy harms.
Well, I hope you know,
abroad.
when you say engagement, foreign policy in this respect is going to result in some level of displacement. Like, let's say we fund
Yes,
Ukraine.
yes, you're
hold
right,
on,
you're
hold
right.
on, hold on. We fund Ukraine, for example.
Yeah. Yes,
Like an
it's a form
ongoing
of
war,
imperialism.
indirectly or directly. Okay, so funding Ukraine is a type of imperialism.
Yes.
Now, is there
Like,
hold on. Is there a distinct difference between the Biden administration being open to the idea of funding Ukraine in their efforts to push back on an authoritarian country invading their sovereignty, and Donald Trump launching 2 consecutive conflicts just to depose essentially a head of state? Is there a distinction there?
Well, yeah, but they're both imperialism. One's soft imperialism and one is
One
overt
soft imperialism.
imperialism.
Okay, and now why?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming you believe that imperialism has a negative connotation, correct?
I mean, even if hold on, time out.
Just answer my question. Just answer my question. Do you
Yeah,
think
but
okay?
yeah, but even as a liberal, you would have to concede to that, right?
No, of course not. I don't think that funding Ukraine and aiding them in defending their sovereignty is a bad thing. I think that's a just cause.
Well, I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't believe that the
I
U.S.
do. I think that there should be standards for how actors, especially big superpowers like Russia, the United States, China, etc., should act on the international stage, and they should not use their influence and impose their power, their strength onto neighboring countries that are orders of magnitude weaker than them. There has to be a standard by which people act, and people need to be held accountable.
But you don't. So you don't believe that the United States violates international law?
Yeah, it does. Of course, we just did with Iran and Venezuela, and like the litany of strikes that we conducted from Christmas hitherto.
Okay, and so you don't believe that presidents before Trump have done that as well?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think this is where we're at an impasse because I want
Are
the
we?
country
Okay.
to I want
Go
the
for it.
country to move in a better direction. And my
And I
criticism-
don't.
Huh?
And I don't.
I mean, you're a liberal, so our ideas of what's
Okay.
better is not the same. Like, I don't believe that currently. Well, I would say right now the Democratic Party is having their quote unquote Tea Party moment. I guess, and there's a tug of war between the progressives and the liberal establishment.
Hmm.
And I think that I don't I don't believe that the liberal establishment is meeting the moment of how fascistic the Republicans are, and because of that, it seems like they have more vitriol
I
to
want I
people.
want to try and get our conversation centered on the point that we were on just now,
Okay, go
about
ahead.
imperialism, things like that. I kind
Yeah,
of disagree with what you're saying right there, to an extent. I think that there's definitely places where Democrats can do better, but as it
yeah,
pertains
for
to
sure.
imperialism, you're making it seem as if both parties are exactly the same in their aims and in what they're doing with the money and what they're doing with the foreign policy in general. What Joe Biden did was not go into a war with Iran. He tried to mediate with Iran, even after Israel tried to push him. Talks failed, it is what it is. He didn't try to go to war with Russia. He was assisting Ukraine following an offensive that was conducted on their territory under his presidency. Those things are two very different things, right?
Okay, the mechanisms by which they operate are different. That does not
Okay.
mean that just because they operate in a different form doesn't mean that it's not imperialism.
Okay, but can
And you
imperialism ever be a good thing in your eyes?
fuck no, you get wait,
Exactly.
hold
So
on,
hold on, slow down.
no,
So that's why I'm
no.
asking. Hold on. Okay, slow down. Jesus Christ, you don't have to get all animated. That's like totally unnecessary. But and the reason why I'm asking you that is because I believe Ukraine does have a right to defend itself. I don't believe that big actors in the international stage should be able to abuse like peripheral countries, which is something that I heavily criticize the United States for doing, right? In the history between our unipolar moment in the 90s and the start of the Cold War following the end of World War II, the United
Hmm.
States would abuse peripheral nations as a means to impose its will and ensure that the communism did not grow as an idea, and cooperation with Russia was strictly prohibited. But that means that I should apply that same standard to all actors, right? So when
Yeah.
Russia decides to invade Ukraine, defending Russia is a good thing. I mean, defending Ukraine is a good thing. That's not a bad thing, don't
Well,
you think?
I well I don't well one I don't believe that the United States
Yeah.
should be the U.S. It shouldn't be the world's
It's
police. Number
like a
one.
broad coalition that also encompasses countries in the EU that are also funding Ukraine.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
we have
yeah.
the
Yeah,
fiscal
I
capacity
know.
to assist, so we should probably do so.
But my whole thing is, you. Well, I don't understand why you asked me the question. Do you believe imperialism is bad? Like, even if you're a
I
liberal,
can explain it to you.
because the explanation. There's no world in which I'm going to defend and say that imperialism is good in any way, shape, or like
Yes, hold on,
where.
but here, let me tell you why. Let me tell you why, because you got confused. So you say both of those actions are imperialism, and
Yes,
you
one
think
soft
hold on, hold on,
imperialism
hold
and
on,
one
hold
is
on,
overt.
hold on, and you think imperialism is always bad. So, but
Yes.
hold on, bro, bro, listen, stop talking and let me tell you what I'm trying to say, please. Let me convey my message. Stop. So in your eyes, helping Ukraine defend their sovereignty and going to war with Iran and deposing the leader, killing the Ayatollah, or going to Venezuela and unseating Maduro and leaving the dictatorship intact, those two actions are the same in harm, in scope.
Hold
Is
on.
that
They're not the same. Hold on. They're
imperialism
not
is
the.
always bad? How is helping Ukraine a
Yes.
bad thing?
Hold on. Time out.
Imperialism is bad. Don't get me wrong. Imperialism is bad. A
Yes.
state using its authority to exact revenge, to expand its influence, etc., with malicious intent. Those things are wrong. Don't get me wrong. But to put both actions on the same level and act as if they mean the same thing or they're to achieve the same end, I disagree with that.
Hold on. I'm not saying that those actions are the same. What I'm saying is they are different forms of imperialism. One is soft imperialism and one is overt imperialism. And Ukraine isn't necessarily a blatant example with the U.S. You could look at what they're doing with Israel now in the genocide in Gaza, them funding the genocides in Congo and Sudan through the RSF, them funding the genocide in Yemen. I mean, domestically, the majority of the Democrats do not support abolishing ICE, which is the Gestapo terrorist force that is terrorizing American citizens and immigrants currently in the country. which will become a very viable issue in the 2028 presidential election. Would you agree or not?
Yeah.
Okay, so like saying imperialism is bad should not be like controversial, even if you're a liberal, even if you believe in foreign
That's not
policy.
the controversy. It's that you're making it seem you're painting over American foreign policy, regardless of the party, with a broad brush. And like I don't know if funding Ukraine is a bad thing. You're saying it's a bad thing, correct? Because it's always imperialism is always a bad thing, right? That's my contention.
Yes.
That I don't think funding Ukraine is a bad thing. And again, I'm curious to see if you could explain it to me, like why it's bad.
I'm saying that, well, for one, within Ukraine, there's Yahtzees within their military ranks, which is a conversation for another day. But
I don't know why that matters.
I mean, you don't think it matters if you're funding a country that...
I think sovereignty is something that should be respected, and when you break those norms, similar to what we're seeing in America with the violation of our negative rights, you plant the seed for a lot of instability. For the same reason that I don't believe, regardless of my grievances with the RGC and the Supreme Leader and the Guardian Council and the government of Iran, I don't believe the United States should have the right to shoot, to kill the former Ayatollah with just like that, without exhausting diplomacy, without it being in a position of necessity to defend the country, to defend the homeland. All those things, I just find it really odd. Like, I don't know. It's crazy.
But hold on. But host, my whole thing is like, I agree with you that the Republican Party is bad for America. But
Okay.
I asked you, do you believe that Republicanism or conservatism is akin to Yahtzeeism? And you disagreed. And I'm saying, how can we as a country, or I guess the left coalition or whatever, claim that we are against fascism, we're against white supremacy, we're against these various institutions that uphold white supremacy, but we can't even be honest and say that republicanism, conservatism is inherently tied to Yahtzeeism and white supremacy.
Isaiah,
We
how's
can't
the
even
mic
agree
now?
to-
I'm sorry. I think there was like a setting that got fucked up in my TikTok studio. No wonder it was so loud.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing. When I think of conservatism, my idea does not come up in my head where it's like, oh, we want to actually go back and conserve traditional values pre the Civil Rights Act or pre the Reconstruction Amendments and revert back to a time where black individuals in this country are looked at as cattle. That's not the assumption in my head. When I think of conservatism as like a modern political ideology within America that the electorate's going to hold, it's mainly going to consist of hawkish foreign policy. It's going to consist of like strict fiscal conservatism, right? And ensuring that you don't run up deficits, questioning the role of government as it pertains to the general welfare of the people. It's not going to be exalting a particular race over all others because that's what you like. I'm thinking about the average American. Now,
You don't think the average American believes in white supremacist values?
the average American, like the random
Yes.
person off the street, no, probably not.
Oh my! What? You don't believe? See,
Wait, hold on. The average person, when you say average, it's not an extreme. It's if you survey 100 people and it's going to be the motherfucker in the middle when it comes to everything. That person is going to be a white supremacist. He's going to think
Yes,
that white people
I
are a
don't
superior race biologically,
white supremacy is more than just believing I believe one race is superior than another. That is a kindergartner's idea.
Wait,
of
no,
what white
hold on.
supremacy
Okay,
is.
okay, keep going.
White
going.
supremacy is when you believe in the maintenance of institutions that make it so certain races of people and certain classes of people are advantaged over another. That is what white supremacy is.
But
It
do you
is
think?
not
Hold
just
on. Do you think the average person, whenever they say "I support the judiciary," they're doing it with the intent to uphold an institution that benefits a particular group, or they appreciate the benefit it has, like its utility as a check on power for the executive, for example? I think to be a white supremacist, it means to actively participate in this particular thing. That is the same thing as being a racist, for example. It implicates an intent to do so.
Okay,
Now,
so
are there
I'm-
individuals that
okay,
could
okay.
involuntarily uphold similar beliefs
Okay,
or
so I'm
contribute
glad-
to
hold on, I'm
to
glad-
contribute to a society where these things persist? By all means, but I question the utility of just directly calling them such.
Well, hold on, David.
Go
'cause
for
this is a great conversation because
Okay.
you said you mentioned racism, right?
Yes.
Do you have to put on a Klan hoodie to be a racist?
No, of course not. That's not what I mean,
Okay,
right? It
okay.
doesn't. You don't have to be a
So
member of a particular group, but I mean, there has to be a clear, like, intuitive distinction in your brain that you have an aversion to a particular group of people by virtue of their skin color, right?
yes, but
Yes.
when we look at the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, and the various systems that
Okay.
have an incentive to dis they have an incentive to make it so certain people are disadvantaged compared to others.
Okay.
So
What
you
are you
don't
referring
believe
to
that
when you say that?
you said what?
Like, what are you referring to when you say that?
I mean, you can look at the policing system, the
Okay.
healthcare system, the banking system,
Okay.
the housing system.
Okay.
All four of those are very intrinsic institutions that are relied on by
So, like,
everyday
are
Americans.
you referring to like desperate impact policy that, well, at face value, these things aren't particularly discriminatory, but in practice, we see a particular outcomes for a particular class of people tend to differ from their counterparts.
Yes.
Okay, so like for example, credit or education or things like that, income, etc.
Yes.
Okay, what
And
do you think? Okay,
my whole point is, David, is we people on the left. Let me not say people on the left. Liberals cannot sound the alarm about how democracy's on the line. About how if we don't do certain things, then the Republican Party will get into office, and everything will be awful, awful, awful. Which I agree. But if we can't acknowledge that the ideology of conservatism, the ideology of republicanism, is rooted in a strict hierarchy where a certain group of people will always be at the bottom and a certain group of people will always be at the top, we're always going to be at an impasse and our society won't progress. That's the main issue. Liberals can't. My issue with liberals is they can't admit that the system they live under is intrinsically white supremacist, and there's one political party that is rooted in that. And this idea that we can like save Republicans or save the quote unquote moderate is it's a pipe dream. A lot of liberals can't understand that.
wait. Well, hold on. To win an election, you don't need to win over 100% of the American populace. You need to win over like 5%. Because you already have a cohort of people that support the Democratic Party. There's more registered Democrats in the country than there are registered Republicans. 45 million to 39 last time I checked, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Memory serves me right. You don't have to pick up every Republican. I don't question that there is a core plurality of individuals. Plurality means minority, right? Or is plurality majority?
Polarity.
No, hold on. Let me check. Definitions aren't fucking important right now. A small percentage of Republicans, or maybe like a core cohort, do believe in these prescriptions are discriminatory, etc. I mean, Donald Trump won on a discriminatory policy prescription. He peddled crazy ideas of making minority groups look animalistic in nature, like they're eating cats and dogs, in case of the Haitians, as a means to justify removing their TPS to get rid of them. All those things. I recognize that. But
Okay.
this idea that you can't win over moderates, I mean, you have to. You have to win them over to win elections. That's the group that you must win over. You recognize that, right? You
I
have
don't
to.
necessarily. Well, I mean, we tried that in 2024, and did we win?
Well, hold on. Do you think Kamala Harris had a popular prescription in 2024? I think she had a pretty shitty set of cards. She had 177 days to run her election. She was coming off of a pretty poor 4 years in terms of like economic health and well-being, not necessarily because of their bad policy, but because of, well, like general things that are out of her control. I think that her disposition is different to that of Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama running for a second term. I think that she's definitely has a shittier set of cards, don't you? I don't really think we could use 2024 as a benchmark.
Wait, repeat that. Repeat that again. Say it in one more time. Just the last.
Everything or just the last part?
Just give a synopsis of what you said.
So essentially, she's in a uniquely shitty position in comparison to her like the people that ran in prior elections. I don't think that in and of itself like disputes the idea that moderates shouldn't win. I mean, Democrats didn't show up and moderates shifted towards Trump because of the economy.
But I think moderate. I mean, you could say the economy, which I don't disagree with that. But you can't ignore the social politics as to why moderates move towards Trump. We just can't ignore that.
Here's
And
the thing. I like.
I think that's the main reason why liberals continue to flounder. Like you can't separate the economic issues from the social issues. They are intertwined. And that's where me and liberals diverge.
Well, here's the thing. I think that you put too much. I think you're too charitable. That's where I diverge. It's not this idea
Who am I
that
charitable to?
hold on to the average American. I don't think it's this idea that social politics and fiscal policy and all these things cannot be intertwined. They most definitely are. It's the idea of to what extent does that play into the average American's calculus when deciding who they're going to go vote for. I don't think that the average American was like, listen, I believe that economy was really bad under Joe Biden, but Donald Trump's also like speaking to me when he says this thing of, oh, they're eating the cats and dogs, or oh, DEI is discriminating against the average white man. It was fiscal policy, it was homes, it was the price of gas, etc. That's the reason he won, right? It was because they can put his vulgar nature aside to vote for somebody who they believe is going to make their lives better.
And
That's Go for it.
you're precisely explaining how white supremacist rhetoric is able to show up within electoralism. Donald Trump specifically throughout his campaign weaponized trans people, weaponized immigrants, weaponized black people, like the Haitian with the eating cats and dogs.
Yeah.
He weaponized all of those things are the main reason why Donald Trump has had a grip on the American political zeitgeist for the past 10 years. The whole economy thing, while that is a factor, I honestly believe that is a scapegoat that the liberal media and the Democratic Party push so they don't have to face the fact that half the country are a bunch of Yahtzees. I'm sorry, that's really what it is. And I think that's
It's like, hold
the
on.
one the
It's like,
liberals don't
hold on, liberal. I think a lot of Americans are inadvertently propping up these ideas. Don't get me wrong. They voted for Donald Trump, right? So obviously that discrimination will continue to persist and permeate across the country, and we see it every single day with immigration and customs enforcement, for example. You said you wouldn't abolish ICE. I agree. But it's a question of how academically inclined or how critical of thinkers the average person is. And I just don't think they are. I don't think the average person is doing this with the intent of being like, oh, I gotta get rid of the fucking immigrants. It's like, oh, well, they put they put downward pressure on wages, or they put upward pressure on the price of goods, or all these things. Like, I don't know to what extent the average person actually believes the significance of race, for example. But that's why you have to appeal to them with messaging that doesn't necessarily center around those issues, because you're not trying to win over the fucking racist. You're trying to win over the dumbass that voted for Donald Trump because of the economy.
But the dumbass who voted for the economy is able to neglect his racism. That, like, why should we appeal to racists to win?
Because you have to win. You have to win. You have to secure power. You have to secure power so you can actually like restructure policing in America, so you can actually restructure healthcare, so you can actually restructure all these things to ensure it's equitable, to ensure that everybody can get ahead. For example, with the idea of reparations, they're good. If you are an individual that really wants what's best for America, you believe the state should ensure that it makes up for its past actions. Like when you essentially like fucking render an entire group of people as immobile, as incapable of success for hundreds of years. But the average American probably isn't going to get behind that, which is why you have to do that shit on the back end. You have to be you have to be intelligent in the way you communicate, essentially.
Yeah, but
and you have to win power. Power is what matters the most.
Yeah, but if you're trying to get more power at the expense of the very people who support your party, you're basically saying, in order to win, I have to throw them under the bus. If I'm running in a Democratic Party,
okay,
I can't say I will ignore something like policing or ignore healthcare or ignore.
Hold on. Here's where you're getting me wrong. The Democratic Party, depending on where you live, will provide you with a candidate that's curated to those interests. You recognize that, right?
I mean, yeah, of course.
Zoran Mamdani in New York, Abigail Spanberger in Virginia, James Salarico in Texas.
Abigail Spencer's a former CIA agent. I don't know.
I'm telling you something, right? Virginia's not a radical state. It's not extremist. It's not leftist. It's not communist. So they get somebody like Abigail Spencer.
New York. Neither is.
They voted for a Democratic Socialist, bro. It's clearly the more.
New York.
Bro,
is the epicenter
New York.
of
Wait,
capitalism.
hold on. New York is clearly the electorate is clearly more progressive than the average American. Don't you agree?
Yeah, hold on. Being more progressive is not the same as being like left. New York City is
it not? That means that you're to the left of the average person, which is why it's gonna manifest in the candidates you choose.
New York City is the epicenter of capitalism. It took Mamdani everything within his power to win. It wasn't like he was by and far the favorite. At first, he was an unknown person.
Yeah, and he won them over in like 2 seconds. It speaks
It
to how.
wasn't no, it was not 2 seconds.
No, it was
They
really fast.
smeared the hell out of him.
I followed
They didn't
him
smear him?
on TikTok when he had like 70K followers. It was fucking crazy.
You're telling me the mainstream Democratic media within New York and national media didn't smear him?
It clearly didn't work. We're speaking to the preferences of.
Because
Hold on.
the voters
We're
were
hold on.
enthusiastic about him.
Yeah, why?
Because
'Cause
of
his
his messaging.
Yes,
Because of his
yes, because his prescription appeals to the average person living in New York because they have ideas that differ from the average Democrat.
It's not just New York.
So
It's not
whenever
just New York.
and this is the thing, it is not just New York. It's a nation. It's a nation of people, and not every single person in Texas is going to think the same way as a person in New York City, which is why you cannot produce candidates that say things that are as divisive as half of the American populace are a bunch of racists.
What did Mamdani say that was divisive?
What do you mean?
You saying you can't say certain things that are divisive to Americans. What did Mamdani say that was divisive?
So do you think Mamdani's policy would work on the national level?
Yes.
Zoran Mamdani will win a nationwide election.
I believe so.
Didn't you say he struggled to win in New York?
Yeah, because the Democratic media was smearing him.
Bro.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Me saying that he could win a national election does not mean that he wouldn't struggle to do so. It would be an uphill battle.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Ideas.
Is it likely for him to win? Sorry, that's probably a better question. Sorry.
Likely, no, but could he? Yes.
Okay, then that's a better way of. Now, why is it unlikely for him to win?
Because of the amount of Red Scare propaganda that is peddled within liberal and conservative media.
Whatever, sure, that can be your position. But if the Democratic Party wants to entrench themselves within the power, you have to run a prescription that can parse through these preconceived notions in individuals' minds and reach those like core set of beliefs that make them want to go to the ballot box, make them want to go vote for you. That's why every candidate, depending on how popular a particular idea is, that's why they have autopsies after election losses or victories, is so they can craft the best slate of people, the best prescription, the best messaging, so that when they take power, they can do the things they want to do because they are in power. You recognize that, right? I want to win elections, bro.
Okay, so how is running on the fact that the country is getting too expensive? How is that a non-winning strategy? Everywhere across the country,
That's a winning strategy, yeah.
So why couldn't Mamdani's message work around the country?
Because his prescription is way different.
Explain. What do you mean?
In New York, the idea of grocery stores ran by the local government or free busing or universal programs, that can win. Because again, it's going to be a more progressive electorate that can resonate with those ideas.
Where around the country would people be against people having free busing?
It really depends. Swing states, Republican states for sure. Yeah, what do you mean? Yeah, it depends.
Why would they be against having free busing?
Because they may be under the idea that it can fall to. Obviously, they won't be able to articulate it in this way, but they can believe it's like a tragedy where there can be freeloaders that can take advantage of public programs and things like that. They may believe it's less efficient. It doesn't speak to like any malice that they have within themselves that they're not saying out in the public.
Okay.
Like, I don't think the average American voter is the most articulate, the most intellectually astute, capable individual that is grappling all these things from different sides and is like, holy shit, the reason why I want to be a conservative is because I want to continue to prop up institutions that inadvertently discriminate against black people. I just don't think they're like that.
I'm. I think. I mean,
I don't think
I
that that's
can't.
smart. And if they are, then obviously you have to change the way you approach these things.
So
And
do
maybe
you,
it is a
so
question
so
of trying to invigorate, like energize the base. But
okay. So
go for it.
this my last question before I have to go.
Fuck
So
yeah, sure.
do you believe that? Do you believe that America is inherently a white supremacist nation?
What do you mean by inherent?
Do you believe that the nation was founded on white supremacy?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
to this day still upholds that?
It upholds like discriminatory policy in a way that is not as open and honest. Sure. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I got to draw. I'll give you a follow though.
Okay. Thank you. It was a great conversation. Seriously. Fuck yeah, that was sick. Rise me. I will. Hold on. Noah wants to go first. Under the current administration, but I believe that the Biden administration probably had a different position on discrimination, right? That doesn't mean like right now discrimination's clear and open, but when you ask me America, that's gonna involve a lot of administrations, different cabinets, etc. Noah, this is gonna be a MAGA, gonna be a radical. Hello, Noah. Hello, Noah. How are you doing?
Yo, what's going on?
It's going all right. I'm assuming do you support the Trump administration? Or you want to continue the last conversation I had?
I don't. I actually am I have to go pretty soon, but I
Tragic.
had like one or two questions if that's okay.
Go for it.
Also, is Covey in the request? Because I can drop for her too if
No,
she
she's
is
not.
for. She's not? Okay.
No.
Yeah, so the first thing is you made a comment about, and I hear this a lot from liberals, where they try to like articulate this qualitative distinction between the imperialism that Democrats engage in versus the imperialism that Republicans engage in. What would you say is the difference there?
I don't think that the United States gains much from protecting Ukraine's sovereignty in terms of like own personal gain. We don't have like crazy bilateral trade with them. There is not like a long-standing relationship. It's relatively new, following the
Oh wait,
dissolution
no,
of
no,
the
no.
USSR.
I'm not talking about Ukraine. I'm talking
well, that
about
was the
like U.S.
example.
imperialism.
Well, when you say U.S. imperialism, that to me is probably not a good thing.
Right. So I'm saying, what is the difference between the U.S. imperialism of Democrats versus the imperialism of Republicans? Because I feel like when I hear liberals speak on like what Trump did in Venezuela, what he's doing in Iran, they act like it's exceptional rather than something that has been
Because it is.
a bipartisan policy
It is.
of
No,
the United States.
and this is where I disagree with leftists. Those things it is exceptional. It is unprecedented. The
Okay,
president has not, in the case of Venezuela, the president has not openly, maybe you can believe it's happened in the past, cooperated with the private sector to depose a head of state and replace them with their second in command, who is more open to allowing for like integration and building up oil infrastructure to extract their natural That is where the president has said that openly on fucking Air Force One before ever informing Congress. That has never happened.
Okay, cool. So
Like that
are
is
you
a
familiar-
substantively different thing, don't you think?
Are you familiar with the U.S.'s relationship with Cuba and when the embargo started?
In detail, no. The embargo is fucking stupid. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so do you know who started the embargo?
No, I don't know the president that started the embargo.
Kennedy, right? Kennedy,
Okay.
this was in 1961. He authorized a CIA operation called Operation Mongoose. And this is just one example, but like the U.S., if you look into regime change that the U.S. engages in Latin America specifically, we have an extensive history that happens regardless of if Democrats or Republicans are in office. For instance, we had a coup of Honduras under Obama. Obama deposed Gaddafi in Libya, authorized the invasion, no congressional approval, right? Just
Yeah.
like, because I hear
Yeah,
liberals
yeah.
complain about no
No, that's
congressional
wrong.
approval.
That's bad. Yeah, that's bad.
He did this with no congressional approval, and now there are
Okay.
slave markets all throughout Libya. Right, he literally brought back slavery to Libya. Not to mention
well, he
that
did not directly bring back slavery to Libya, but
he absolutely did with his authorizing of the invasion. That would not have
Well, he
happened
didn't-
if
he
the
didn't-
U.S. did
well,
not,
hold on.
did
He
not
did
invade.
that
What are we
in-
talking
in-
about?
Okay. But you have to, again, these two things are substantively different, right? What was the justification by Obama?
These things are not substantively different.
Come on, are you serious?
Are you serious? You think
Obama
US
and
imperialism is
and
different under
the
Republicans?
UN coalition that believed invading Libya was the good thing. It was because they thought it was a humanitarian crisis. Now you can question the belief. Gaddafi was not a good leader. Now again, my position is solid. I'm not going to change it. Simply because a country has a bad leader that's abusive does not mean that we are giving carte blanche or we've manufactured consent to invade them, because that's bad. I do not stand behind Obama's invasion of Libya. Don't get me wrong. It's illegal.
So wild,
it's
to me.
patently. It's not wild. It's just like
It is
to act
wild.
as, dude. The intent is way different. It's way different. Unless Obama is acting in a way behind closed doors that clearly reveals like some other reason or desire to engage in conflict, which I'm not aware of. It's an admission of ignorance. I'm not totally.
Wait, I'm
I can,
confused because
Go
the
for it.
allegations that you're bringing up of like a humanitarian crisis, these are the same things that are levied against any global South nation that the U.S. decides to do a coup on or employ sanctions on, right? It's no different
Okay.
than the justification for invading Venezuela. What are we talking about?
It is different.
No, it's not. They're
Donald,
both
yeah,
based on very
what's
spurious
the
claims.
okay? No.
What
Hold
are we
on.
talking
So
about?
hold on. So the reason why it's different is because Donald Trump, if he truly cared about regime change, he'd look to build up some level of instability within Venezuela and not just rely on the same dictatorship that like sunk their claws into the country and has abused millions of people.
What dictatorship are you referring to?
Wait, Maduro?
Maduro is not a dictator. So, but I mean, I'm hearing you, bro.
What?
You know, it's giving.
Come on.
I'm sure the CIA fucks
Again,
with you
hold on.
really
I need
heavily,
you to
know what I'm
understand.
saying?
I don't like Maduro either. Are you saying Maduro was a good leader?
I'm saying he wasn't a dictator. I'm saying
Okay.
that's Western propaganda. But I mean, it makes sense that you believe Western propaganda because you're
Okay,
you're
can you
trying to
no,
outline-
hold on. Okay. Let's say I'm wrong. What are you relying on to get this information? that
Yeah,
he's not
I'm
an
assuming
abusive-
you
hold
think
on.
he wasn't
Hold on. I'm
democratically
asking you a
elected,
question.
right?
I'm asking you a question. What are you relying on
Yeah, I
to
got
get this?
you.
Hold on,
I
stop.
got
Let me
you.
finish my question. What are you relying on to get this information that he did not punish dissidents, that is not the reason for instability? The largest displacement event in the history of the Western Hemisphere is the collapse of Venezuela. I really want to know. I don't believe we should have unseated Maduro. Don't get me wrong. And to be quite honest, that's really all you need. It doesn't really matter my position on the matter. It's whether or not I believe that on its face, on the merits, the invasion was justifiable. First of all, patently illegal. Second of all, still shouldn't. You should respect the sovereignty of a state. He is a recognized leader. It doesn't really matter how you believe elections went. So I don't know why we're going on this. I really don't know why you didn't just take that victory. I don't know why you want to get into the detail of whether or not Maduro was an abusive leader. I feel like that doesn't really serve your argument. But I want to know, did he punish dissident groups?
Yeah, which dissident groups did he punish?
Like general protesters. There's a case of a man who was sent to CICOT here. His name was Luis Munoz Pinto, who fled the country because of that political instability. He was beaten as a result of protesting. He was sent to CICOT while seeking refuge in America as an asylum seeker. Did
Again,
he
that
not get
doesn't tell me
abused?
what dissident groups he targeted.
But when you
right?
say
Because I'm not
dissident groups,
opposed-
that's going. Hold on. And first of all, that's not an answer to my question. You answer my question with a question. It's not an answer. I'm referring to the punishment of dissident groups. That means that just about anybody who deposes the government in a way just deposes the government in general. Does not align with the government. There's no congruency there. So, but obviously, it'll be like legal protests or illegal protests. Those things are different. I'm not gonna. Obviously, terrorist organizations are going to be punished if there is one within Venezuela. But in the case of Luis Munoz Pinto, I don't believe that there was any criminal ties. I don't believe he was a part of any terrorist organization. He was protesting and he was punished, and that's why he fled the country. So I'm just like, what information? you
Yeah, I
get
mean, I
that
would have to
Maduro
know
was
about like
a-
the character, the political character of these groups. I'm not opposed
Okay.
to like punishing dissent. I mean, punishing political dissent is something that like the United States does and has done since the inception of this country, right? Like communism specifically is criminalized here.
Hold on. Communism is not criminalized right now in America.
Yes, it is.
Why isn't Hassan Piker behind bars?
I love that, man. I don't.
Wait,
I don't think-
no.
This is so
When you say
funny.
why isn't Hassan Piker behind bars?
Oh my gosh! Wait. Do you know?
Can you
who,
answer my question?
Mumia Abu Jamal is.
Can you
Hassan
answer
is
my
not a
question?
communist, bro.
Oh,
That's
he's-
what
okay.
this question is
Sorry.
hilarious. I don't even want to
Okay.
engage with the question. Hassan is not a
Sorry,
communist.
I thought he was a communist. He's like he
He's-
claims
he's
himself
not
to
a
be one.
communist.
Sorry, he claims himself to be one. Forgive me.
Yeah, he's not a communist. This
Okay.
is hilarious.
He's
Do
just
you know
not
what
a
the
communist.
Communist Control Act is?
Not aware of it. No.
Okay, cool. I don't think you know about anti-radical legislation in this country.
There is
I'm
going to
gonna
be
be real.
anti-radical
I
legislation in
study
this
this
country,
shit.
but there's
Like, you
something
don't know
called,
about
there's something,
anti-radical
hold on, slow down.
legislation?
There, hold
No,
on,
no, hold
stop
up,
talking.
because you're
There's
acting
something called the
incredulous when I
First
said that
Amendment.
communism is
There's something
criminalized.
called the First Amendment that means
Yo.
that countries, sorry, that the country, that states within the country cannot pass a law. Congress cannot pass a law
Is
that
this
abridges
real?
an individual's freedom of speech, ability to petition the government, etc. So
Wait
I'm
a
just
minute.
curious, has any of these laws been hollowed out by precedent established by SCOTUS when these things are inevitably brought up
Is
to
this
the
real?
Supreme Court? Yeah, it's a real question. It's a genuine question. Yes.
No, I'm asking, is this interaction real?
Yes,
I don't think you're
it's
serious.
a legitimate interaction. Yes.
I don't think you're a
Yes.
serious person. There's no way. You think the First Amendment is something that is upheld in this country?
Yeah, for example, most recently, there was pro-Palestinian protesters that were arrested, who had their visas revoked. Ramesh Osterk, Mahmoud Khalil had his LPR revoked, his legal permanent residency, and there's a case that went up to SCOTUS. It's called AARP v. Rubio, where they relied on the INA and the broad discretion granted to the Secretary of State to revoke legal status by virtue of, like, essentially, I guess, their own political whims, and that was shot down. They weren't allowed to deport these people because the First Amendment reigns supreme. It does not allow for an individual to be punished because of their viewpoints. So if you can show me, this material, I just provide you with evidence and you're still laughing. So I find it funny. If you could show me where this materialized in the real world and for some reason these individuals were not respected, their rights were ignored, and no case that could have ever remedied the harm done to them ever even made it up to the courts. I'd like to know. Give me an example. I'm willing to learn. I don't know why you
Marcus
need to laugh.
Garvey's deportation.
Okay.
Hold
on, slow down. Don't list it off. I want to. No. Listen. Don't list it off. Don't list it off. I want to know, like, specifically. So
Yeah,
Marcus,
I got
what?
you. I said Marcus Garvey's deportation.
In 1927?
Correct.
Okay.
And his previous not just his deportation, but he was locked up before that, before he was ultimately deported.
For speech? was he
Essentially, I mean,
deported?
they got him for fraudulent charges, but it was really because he was part of an organization and he was preaching Black self-determination. I can actually give you a million examples. I can give you Paul Robeson. I can give you Angelo Herndon. If you looked into the history of the IWW, I know he doesn't know who Marcus Garvey is. I don't think he knows much of anything, but actually, let me name you some stuff too. Are you familiar with the
No, I'm
House
still.
Un-American
No, hold on. I'm
Activities
still.
Committee?
Hold on. I'm still reading through this. Let me.
It's gonna take you a minute, bro. It's
yeah,
gonna take you
I'm
a
gonna
minute.
go one by one. I recognize
Yeah,
that.
it's
Yeah.
gonna take you a minute though.
Okay.
So I'm gonna just name some shit, right?
I prefer you don't. I'm
Un-American
still looking through
Activities
this. I need to
Committee.
ask you a set of questions.
It's gonna take
about
you a
the-
minute to get
No,
through
I need to
it.
ask you a set of questions about this in particular. Do you
I
have
feel
like
like
any?
you should know about
do you have
Marcus
any-
Garvey though. I don't understand.
No. Do you have any examples of, like, the prosecutorial misconduct in any of these cases, like where his Fifth Amendment rights violated? Like, what was his status in the country?
saying there wasn't?
If I'm unaware of the case, how can I ever have a position on whether or not his rights were violated?
Do you know who Marcus Garvey was?
Wait, could you, like, engage with what I just said? Or?
Yeah, I got you. So
Okay.
throughout the trial, this is
Okay.
this is from Black Scare, Red Scare by Dr. Sharice Burton Stelly. Throughout the trial, which began on May 21st, 1923, after a
Okay.
15-month delay, the prosecution presented flimsy evidence about the defendant's fraud and the use of the mails to effect it. Nonetheless, Garvey was convicted on June 18th, 1923, and received the maximum sentence: 5 years in prison, a $10,000 fine, plus court costs and no bail. The prosecutor used Black Scare and Red Scare logic to deny bail, arguing that Garvey was a danger to the community because UNIA members were amassing weapons to violently defend him and help him evade justice. The charge was eerily similar to the attempting to overthrow the government by force or violence charge consistently levied at the CPUSA. Despite this maneuvering, Garvey was ultimately released on bond in September. On February 2nd, 1925, the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals rejected his appeal of the mail fraud conviction. He was immediately sent to federal prison in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah,
On
I'm
March
there
23rd,
right now.
1925, the Supreme Court refused to review the case. When Garvey attempted to attain a presidential pardon, officials across the U.S. government agreed that he was an undesirable alien agitator to whom poor, Black, ignorant followers were devoted. Thus, commuting his sentence would be an affront to U.S. capitalist, racist society. To guard against Garvey's freedom, the BI prepared to launch a case against him on radical statements that potentially violated the alien anarchist provision of the immigration laws. He was also indicted for a second time by a federal grand jury on August 18, 1924, for perjury and fraud in the filing of his 1919 and 1921 income taxes. Despite this black skin risker maneuvering to keep Garvey in prison, Attorney General John G. Sargent eventually recommended the commutation of the UNIA leader's sentence, but only if he was swiftly deported.
Okay. It's possible. I mean, I didn't really it serve more as a description of the events, but it's possible that there was discrimination. There wasn't as many barriers or protections of speech in the early 1900s. But I don't know if you noticed earlier, the example that I provided you was a very recent case, right? AAUP v. Rubio, right? Like, do you have anything from modern, like the last couple of years, of an individual being discriminated against because of their, like, communist ties that are not material?
I just gave you the Communist Control Act has not been revoked, of 1954. I think it's a 54 or 56.
Okay, thank you. 54. Yep. When was the last time it was used?
What do you mean it precludes people from running for office? So
that are communist?
Yeah.
So there's hold on. Okay. So there has been no communist candidates in California either? Really? Like nobody?
Yeah, because it's legally proscribed. This is what I was saying. There's been an immense accumulation of anti-radical legislation.
So this prohibits you from professing that you're a communist candidate?
Correct.
Okay. What are current elections going on? Hold on. Hold on. Let's see. It outlawed the Communist Party, prohibited members of the communist organization from serving in certain representative capacities, and for other purposes. So this law granted the federal government the capacity to punish any communist group by virtue of them being communist?
Yep.
So it's not just candidates, correct?
I mean, it's been used outside of just candidates.
But
I mean, this is the thing with, like,
hold on, because it applies to more than just candidates, right? It's the Communist Party
like I
in general.
said, communism is deeply criminalized in this country.
No,
I don't know what world you're
The
living
reason
in.
I'm asking you that question is because it doesn't just apply to candidates. It applies to everybody. Is there no communist groups in this country?
They are, and they're heavily surveilled, criminalized.
Okay, wait, no, hold on. Okay, so this particular statute bars them from being communist groups. Yet somehow there continues to be communist groups in this country that are not being arrested, that are not being disbanded, that are not doing these things. Like, they're not subject to a unique level of punishment by the federal government, correct?
Are we okay?
I'm asking you a question. You don't have to be incredibly condescending. Like, it's not necessary. So, I'm asking you a question.
So drugs are criminalized, but people do them. So does the law
Drugs are not
exist?
criminalized anywhere. That depends on the jurisdiction. So I'm curious.
Bro, please.
Yeah,
This is the
you just
question you're
mentioned.
asking me.
Hold on. So you just mentioned the use of drugs, by the way, which is not a part of the fucking First Amendment. I'm referring to the First Amendment of the United States of America. So if you believe it's just parchment paper with no enforcement, I'm curious to see what communist groups are being shut down currently in America right now, today, under the Communist Control Act of 1954.
I'm so confused. The law
It's not a
gives
confusing
them
question. It's relatively
the law
clear.
gives them the
There's
right
still law
to
on the book. There's
criminalize
still
these
laws.
groups.
Hold on.
There's
There's
a
still
long
hold on.
history of
There's still
criminalizing
laws
these
on the
groups.
books that have not been destroyed, that have not been removed, that are no longer effective. There's parts of the INA that are like pointless letter. Recently, the Voting Rights Act was fucking gutted. But that goes to show it, Congress is not to revisit these things for them to no longer be enforceable. This idea that you can come after communist groups just because they're communists is not true. And it's not
Actually,
going to
Rick in the comments has a good point because I'm actually familiar with this because they had a chapter in my city.
Okay.
The African People's Socialist Party was charged with some like foreign, I don't know if it was the Communist Control Act specifically that was invoked, because you also have like the Sedition Act, the Espionage Act,
Yes,
all these
yeah.
other anti-radical acts.
Of what city?
I'm not going to say my city. I mean,
Oh, it's
they're
your
like
city.
a
Sorry, I don't want to.
international-
No, don't fucking.
national chapter.
It's
But
the
yeah,
African People's Socialist Party of what? Or is that it?
like you could just look up the African People's Socialist Party. It should come up.
Okay.
It's not the AAPRP.
So is there like a particular chapter that was charged, or?
I think it was just like the national organization.
Okay. U.S. citizens convicted of conspiring to act as illegal agents of the Russian government. A jury today
Yep.
convicted O'Malley, can't pronounce that last name, 82, Penny Hess,
Amali
Jesse Neville.
Yashtela.
Okay, Yashtela, thank you. All of St. Louis and Augustus, okay, blah. Conspiracy to act as agents of foreign governments. The defendants were charged in a superseding indictment on April 13th of 2023. Thank you. This is a modern example. Court evidence presented in the trial from at least May 2015 to 2022. Agreed to act on behalf of the Russian government within the United States. Alexander, the resident of Moscow, was the founder and president of the anti-globalization movement of Russia. Organization headquartered in Moscow, Russia, and funded by Russian government. Were leaders of the African People's Socialist Party or components thereof. Yes, was a high-level leader of the APSP. 2018, left and formed a Georgia-based group called the Black Hammer. Influence efforts were directed and supervised by Moscow-based Federal Security Services officers, including indicted defendants. Okay. Okay, so... Okay. Do you think they made up the evidence?
Absolutely. This is the same shit they did to the UNIA. They did this to Garvey's organization, mind you. Marcus
so
Garvey was
there's 100 years
was a
separating these two
capitalist, right?
cases. There's 100 years.
Yeah, and the logic of anti-communism and anti-blackness have remained exactly the same. They've literally used the exact same tactics, being the ascription of Bolshevism, right? Communism to organizations that aren't
These
even
are Russian
communist.
ties. I can grant you that the federal government has done this in the past. I don't discredit that. The First Amendment has not been exercised to its full extent, and there's been numerous instances throughout the years of it in practice not actually representing everybody, but only a certain few. I do not disregard that, but I just don't believe that that's how things are done now in American history. So sorry, in modern America. So I'm just like, what's your evidence that this evidence was fabricated?
What are we talking about?
It's a legitimate question. I don't know why it's being disregarded. Like this individual was in direct.
There's like
hold on.
100+
This
year
individual.
precedent
This individual.
of this anti-communist
That's not true.
persecution.
This individual was in direct contact with these individuals, with the Russian entity. They were invited for an all expenses paid trip to communicate on future operations. Prior to this trip, Hess relied on a request to ensure that Yashatela would be able to meet with an official representative of the Russian government. According to subsequent email communications, which were shared with Hess, Neville, Romaine, everybody explained that it was clear that this individual, Russian guy, I can't really fucking pronounce his name, was an instrument of the Russian government. In these same communications, they further explained that he represented a method by which the Russian government is engaging the United States and Europe in serious struggle by utilizing forces inside of the U.S. to sow division inside of the United States. In a subsequent meeting between Hess, Neville, and they're communicating. Hold on. They're working with a foreign government. Like, this is not evidence of them targeting communists. It's not evidence of viewpoint discrimination. It just coincidentally happens to be a communist or a socialist or a Black American party or organization that happens to be working with a foreign government, bro.
This is literally the same shit that they applied to the Black Panther Party,
Bro,
the
I like-
ABB, right? So I don't understand why we would say that this is credible when there's a historical precedent of them trying to associate communism with foreign influence.
So
This is literally the
hold
Red
on.
Scare playbook that you're not
So-
versed in. You're trying to argue with me with shit you're reading in real time. You didn't even know that anti-radical legislation existed in this country, bro. What are we talking about? I don't even really want to go down this line with you though, because I really want to return, because I think Covey's in the request and she wants to go. I want to return to this
Bro.
idea that Republican imperialism is exceptional. I really
Okay.
would love for you to demonstrate how that is the case.
We already had the conversation.
We didn't, because you wanted to get into the minutia of Maduro, right? You sidetracked. I don't
No,
really give
you
a fuck
decided.
about
No,
Maduro.
hold on. You decided to do that. You brought
No,
it up.
you said he was a dictator, and I said he
no,
wasn't.
No, bro. Why? If it was, you recognize that you were making an argument that these two things are distinct or whatever, and Maduro being a dictator is quite literally irrelevant. All you needed was for me to say that this thing was wrong, notwithstanding the fact that he, in my eyes, runs a government that is antithetical, that directly collides with the way the American government operates. Those two things are so different. And for some reason, you want to go down that line of dialogue, and now we're here.
How does the American government operate to where Venezuela would be antithetical?
Ostensibly, America appears to uphold some liberal principles and has a democracy and has institutions that are given a serious level of respect in their decision-making process, in the rulings that they provide, in the legislation that they pass. America's in a different spot right now. I agree that the American government is descending further and further into authoritarianism and fascism. But when I think of America, it's going to be like a all else held equal idea of how the American government operates.
Have you
fucking
ever,
outside of
like, this is a
external
real
influence.
question. This is a real question,
Okay,
because I know
well.
I've been like disrespectful, because I think the things you're saying are kind of preposterous, but this is
Okay.
a genuine question.
Sure.
Have you ever like reflected on like the mythology of American exceptionalism and
Yeah.
the sort of things that sort of undergird these narratives that you're espousing right now?
Well, that's
Like-
very
like,
broad,
I don't
but
know
if
how
you
old
can,
you are, I assume
Okay,
we're close
19.
in age. Oh, you're young. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense. That makes a little
Okay.
more sense. Hopefully, at some point, maybe when the frontal lobe hits, I don't know, you'll like
Never.
reflect on the myths of American exceptionalism and actually like reflect on like, are these things about American democracy, about freedom of speech, about the so-called virtues of Americanness, are these things actually real? Are these things actually historically substantiated, right?
no,
Because
definitely not. Jesus Christ, no.
you seem to have a very romantic understanding of the U.S.
No,
right?
you
You told
no.
Chad that Democrats aren't white supremacists, that they don't uphold fascist or white supremacist institutions. That's unbelievable to me, right?
Wait, didn't I say America was like a white supremacist state? Like something I didn't say that exactly because I don't necessarily agree with that.
you
But
disagreed with Chad saying that. You disavowed
Democrats
fact
are
that,
white
that the United States
supremacists.
is white supremacist. Absolutely.
wait, what do you mean? No, I said that like institutions and the way they are in practice can lead to like greatly, I guess, bifurcated outcomes for certain classes of people. Desperate impact policy still exists to this day. I don't disregard that, but it's just like literally a change in language. Like I don't believe the Democratic Party is intentionally so looking to discriminate against minority groups in this country. I don't think that's the case.
Okay, how do you describe American imperialism then if it's not to specifically disenfranchise racialized others?
But imperialism is to disenfranchise, to enact their influence on like less strong states. Imperialism is a bad thing.
Right, and Democrats support and uphold imperialism to the same extent that Republicans do. So would that not make them
and
white
that's the
supremacists?
like what? Like the Democratic Party right now supports U.S. imperialism? Like what?
Wait.
Like what?
Wait. So did the previous administration? Because I know you want recent examples.
Okay.
The previous
yes.
administration, did they fund the UAE, which is committing a genocide in Sudan and the Congo?
I don't know the extent to which the administration funded
Yeah.
the United Arab Emirates. I don't know.
Cool. So they sent them like $28
But you
billion
recognize that in and of
weapons, right?
itself, like funding or even missile defense cooperation funding, like we do with Israel, which obviously I disagree with, that is substantively different than Republicans going to war with Iran. and deploying 50,000 troops and bombing schools and bombing aid warehouses and commercial infrastructure and civilian infrastructure and calling out that they're going to have a holiday called Power Plant and Bridge Day. Those two things are so different. And it's so crazy because I really had no disagreements with Chad, which is the really funny part. You're making it seem as if we had some we were like right here. It was relatively close.
You're not.
Okay,
I know
whatever.
Chad,
Hold on,
and you're
stop.
not,
Hold on,
but-
stop. Hold on, stop. Hold on. I want to finish what I'm saying. Okay, so I guess I was wrong. But based on the conversation, it felt as if we were relatively close, and only like small, minute disagreements. That's the problem. The problem is that you think that those two things are the same. That even though Joe Biden provided money to the UAE or to Ukraine, that those two things are exactly the same as Donald Trump killing the Ayatollah in one fucking day and taking advantage of him and all these leaders meeting up in his compound and fucking murdering them. And then and blowing up fucking schools and power. Those are not the same fucking things. And it's honestly, it's
wait.
infuriating. What?
Okay, let's talk about Iran, right?
Yes.
So I was reading this.
But no,
thing
hold on. Wait,
that
no,
came
we're not
out,
getting away.
right?
Those two things are very different, right?
No, I want to talk about how.
No.
they're not.
Wait,
So
no.
let's talk
I'm
about
holding you
Iran.
to this. No, I'm holding you to this. I don't give a fuck.
They're not.
No.
I'm not
Okay.
they're not different, bro. What
Get the fuck out of here, bro. I'm not doing this shit. What? Bro. Let me chill. Hold on. No, stop. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this right now, bro. I'm not doing this shit. I'm not. No. No. They are different. Like, I can't. What the fuck? It's inherently the same. Bro, that's cope language. I'm so sorry. That's fucking cope language, bro. Bro, fucking hell, bro. Jesus Christ. Sorry, AARPV Rubio, my bad. LARP Rubio, I'm fucking dead, bro. I was in a million places. You said you will. I did say I would. I'm a man of my word. I got you.
Okay.
Oh man, how are you doing?
Okay. Not very well after after what you just said.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Wait, after
no,
what
no,
I said,
no.
what did I say?
Okay. Here's comes the hypocrisy. Okay. What you just said
Okay.
is like just absolutely disrespectful. Trying to say like, oh, the
What?
Democrat did it like wait. The Democrat did something like what Trump did in Iran. Oh, Iran, they bombed the school. Oh, but do you know what the fuck the Democrats were doing? Okay. First of all, what the fuck happened in Libya, Yemen, Sudan, Palestine, all of these fucking countries, Honduras, multiple South American countries? What the fuck do you think what the Democrats were doing? What the fuck happened in Vietnam, Korea? What the fuck do you think like the American government as a whole like we're doing? No,
This is
don't
such
laugh
an
at
unserious.
me.
No, it's such an unserious conversation.
No,
like-
no. How is it unserious when you trying to compare because you did this?
Because those two.
You start-
Like,
wait.
oh no!
You
Stop, bro!
wait,
Stop!
wait.
No!
No,
Stop! No!
wait.
Yes! Stop!
You start by doing a comparison.
Oh my God, bro!
You start by doing a comparison between the Democrats
Between
and the
Joe
Republicans,
Biden funding
trying to say-
Ukraine and the UAE and
No,
Donald
no,
Trump
no,
going to
no,
war
no,
with Iran?
Joe Biden
Yeah.
fucking- No. Joe Biden funding both the UAE and Israel, okay, who are both committing
Yeah.
a genocide.
And I think
okay?
that's wrong, by the way. I think that we
Oh,
should
I
not
think
be
it's
providing.
wrong. Okay, so
Okay,
your stand
does
is
my
gonna be
position
like,
not matter?
whenever your next Democrat president, okay? Well, why are you laughing? Why are you
Because
trying
this
to
is
go-
like so stupid. Did I ever
How?
say we should be funding the UAE
It's
or
not.
Israel? It's
Your
simply
stand,
hold on.
your
Let
stand.
me
Wait,
explain to you.
wait,
Let me
wait.
no. Stop. Wait. Stop. For some
go ahead.
reason, everybody has my like position super mixed up. I don't think we should provide military, offensive, or defensive cooperative funding to Israel. No, right? But that I'm simply recognizing that Republican foreign policy and Democrat foreign policy are worlds apart. And those distinctions.
Give me an example.
Okay. What do you think is worse? Joe Biden providing missile defense cooperation funding to Israel, an offensive cooperation funding to Israel, or Donald Trump going into Iran and fucking killing people themselves? Like, what is it? To what level is that? There's no distinction in that policy.
Wait. what did Obama did in Libya,
Bro, what are we
in
doing?
Yemen? No.
I
What
already
did he
said.
do?
Wait, wait,
No. We're not speaking about funding. You're trying to make it. The Democrat did this. What did they do?
Obama that was bad. We
What
should have
did
gone
they
to
did
war in
in my fucking
Libya.
country? Didn't they bomb the only fucking?
I can't. Wait. Hold
like,
on. I can't do
wait,
this.
wait,
No.
wait.
Hold on.
No,
You're
no,
gonna
no.
hold on.
Yes,
No.
you
No.
can.
Wait.
Yes,
No.
you
No. No.
can.
No. No.
Wait,
No.
let
No.
me educate
There
you
is no.
real quick.
No.
Let me
Wait. Stop.
educate
Stop.
you.
Stop. Stop. Stop.
Let me educate
Hold on.
you.
Hold on. No. Wait. Stop.
Whoa.
Listen.
Let me educate
Wait.
you
Hold on.
about
Are you? Hold on.
what your
Hold
government
on.
and the party that
Hold
you
on.
support did to the
Hold
global
on.
south.
Hold on.
Let me educate
Are you from
about
Libya?
what they did,
Are you
for
from
example.
Libya? Are you from
No,
Libya?
I'm Sudanese,
Okay.
and I'm gonna tell you what they fucking did. What
I
they
need you,
fucking
bro.
did.
It's like-
okay? To the Shifa hospital, the only fucking factory.
Like, do you think I'm okay with
that
this?
produced-
I'm curious. Like, what's
No,
the point of this?
You're defending it.
I'm not
You're
defending it. I've like strictly
You are.
condemned
When
Obama's actions in
someone-
Libya.
When no is telling you that, when
It's a
no is telling you
recognition that the
wait,
thing
wait.
in and of itself is
Wait,
different.
Wait. Just have some manner in speaking when you're talking about these things,
Bro,
okay?
what? You came on here
Yes,
like flamed
yes.
up and
Wait,
like
wait,
cutting
wait,
me
wait.
off and like shit. Like, what do you
Yeah,
mean?
I'm cutting you off. How the fuck am I cutting you off? So you're trying to make a comparison. You started the comparison by, what is the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans?
fuck.
The Republicans are more brutal. And I gave you example of how there's no fucking difference. I gave you historical example. The people prior, also gave you historical examples of how the Democrats are literally the same.
Do you think that okay? Like, I don't even. What's the point of this conversation, bro?
The
Do
point
you
of the
think? Hold on.
conversation- okay.
Hold on. Well, let me.
No,
let me.
no.
Let,
This-
okay, I
wait,
can't
wait,
answer.
wait.
Okay, sorry, I can't answer.
Okay.
Yeah, my bad.
This is the point of the debate. Okay, the point of the conversation. Chad, Noah, and hopefully Kobe when she come up too. Okay. What you think as not really helpful right now, or like not really something important, is an important discussion to tell you about why supporting this fake two-party system, okay, that you're advocating for, it's just full of hypocrisy, okay, just subscription and subscribe to the death in the global south, pro-imperialism and hypocrisy, and death of all people in all of the global southern country that the US right now is enforcing imperialism on, or sponsoring countries and proxies in them. You need to understand that your country is built and run by institutions, how these institutions are funded by capital, money, okay, companies, and these things are the same veins and blood that is going through the veins of both of the parties. Your economy, your system, all of these things. If you don't want to wake up to this, you are causing harm.
What do you think
Okay.
hold on. What do you think my position is on the economy or on institutions or on desperate impact policy?
capitalism?
I believe that markets are the most efficient form of the most efficient mode of production.
maxing. So you believe in profit maxing?
I believe that firms should operate within a set of constraints, and if they were to ever move
no.
away from,
You-
hold on, no, wait, no, that's an important thing. What the fuck? If
go
I
ahead.
believe that if firms should operate within an important set of constraints, the well-being of the consumer, worker, the environment, regardless of whether or not that may lead to market inefficiencies, I think it's clear that just because I don't want a centrally planned economy, that doesn't mean that I disregard the health and well-being of the average American, the average worker, the average consumer, etc. I don't believe that firms should source their goods, their inputs, their outputs from places that are unethical. Those are things that require international cooperation that a president in and of himself cannot solve. But this idea that I don't want more higher wages, that I don't want better standards for workers, regardless of whether or not it's cumbersome, regardless of whether or not it's burdensome for the billionaire corporation, I don't give a fuck. But I know you're about to ascribe like so much shit to me. It's gonna be so infuriating. But I just want to make that clear. I just want to make that super clear before I even start. Before you start, sorry.
So you are pro-capitalism. I know that you are pro-capitalism.
That's what that means. Like,
Yeah, you are pro-capitalism. Again.
that. Okay.
no,
No, those two things are. No, it's
No,
not.
it's not. It's
Those two
not.
things
It's
are
not.
very different.
No, you try
I'm
to
not.
whitewash it.
What?
You
What? No, this is rage bait. No, I do not accept this. This is rage bait. No.
How?
No.
Wait.
Okay.
All of these-
Okay. What is capitalism to you? What is capitalism to you?
What is capitalism to me? Profit maxing, private properties, business, like this system, the economical structure, for example, that we're seeing right now in the U.S. Okay, or any country right now that has like private firms, companies, all of these things, private ownership, private properties, profit maxing, all
already
of
said
these
that.
things. Yeah, that is what
Okay.
capitalism is. Yeah, free market, all of these things. Imperialism that only come natural. Okay, imperialism itself only come natural. Okay, with capitalism. So you can't be
Okay.
like pro anti-imperialism and not be anti-capitalist. Yeah, exploitation is in the
Okay.
root of capitalism.
Okay. So you said free markets, profit maximization. That's a good thing. Profit maximization. When you say that, and free markets as well, am I a laissez-faire individual, or do I believe that there is place where government intervention is justifiable, where profits should not be put at the top of the list of priorities in certain sectors? Doesn't that make me something different than just pro-capitalist?
No,
That's
No.
I'm sorry. That's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my entire
No, it's
fucking life.
not.
I'm so
No,
that,
what
no,
do you
it's the
think-
dumbest. It's the dumbest fucking thing ever. Like if okay. If I'm driving a Chrysler and I'm like, holy fuck, the fucking audio sucks ass. The engine's shit. But you know what? It'll get me from point A to point B. But I can do things to make that car better, right? And then I guess the other option is fucking walking. I recognize the utility of the car, but I see that there's things I can do that are different. Does that make me pro Chrysler? Pro the fucking car? Like I'm a one-for-one proponent of that vehicle?
no, that's make you
Or
driving
do
a car.
or do I
That's-
do I
that's
no
make-
let me stop no stop.
Wait,
Or does that
wait,
or
wait.
no
Your whole example failed from the
no
beginning. Wait,
no
wait,
no
wait.
no stop no
Your
stop
whole
stop.
example. Your whole example. Wait. Your whole example.
It's a good
failed from
example.
the
That's a really
beginning.
good
No.
No, sorry,
Your
analogy.
whole example failed from the beginning. That's make you pro driving car. Doesn't matter what car you're driving. You are pro driving a car.
But okay, no, it's because when you say pro to me, okay, you know what? This is probably like a disagreement on the colloquial definition of pro, but I am not an outstanding, like, dedicated supporter of capitalism as a system. I just recognize it as it being the best one in this moment. That's what it is. And if you can provide me with an example or with a theoretical system, which is going to be really difficult to do, given the fact that, I mean, there's only so much time in a day, there's only so much time you have right now to speak to me about the best fucking economic system, I recognize that you're in a very tough spot to convince me. But this idea that I believe it's perfect, that I believe it doesn't have flaws, that I believe it can't harm people, that's ridiculous. That's not the case. I recognize that it can do those things. And that's what I get when you say pro. That's the vibe I get. That I don't recognize any flaws. That there's no
What vibe
inadequacies.
You are pro. Okay. You know, there's liberals going around in this app who will lie to your face and tell you we're not liberal because this and that, but they are liberals. You are that equivalent of someone who say like, I am pro-capitalism, then explain why he is pro-capitalism. So again, why are you mad with that? Or like you think there's something...
I tried. Listen, I tried my hand at explaining it to you. It is what it is. I'm not
Okay.
gonna waste time.
Just for your understanding, you are pro-capitalism, and it's your thing. I get it.
Okay.
Now let's go back to the whole thing that even made me come up. Okay, when you try to make a comparison between the Republican and the Democrat regarding outside policies. Okay, mind you, I'm Sudanese. Okay, I'm someone who
Yes.
right now displaced from my own country. Okay. Because of the system that is both parties, the U.S. as a whole, because guess what? When it's come to outside policies that affect a trade route, capital, money, all of these things, they both love to agree together, okay? Because that is the reason. When you see wars happening, they're happening for a reason, okay? For economical reason most of the time. Okay, which both parties agree on. That's why historically they've been very good together when it's come to outside policies. Okay, so let's go back. Okay, when you're saying like, oh, you think the Democrats will have bombed Iran like the same way Trump did? I would tell you yes. Why not? There's historical evidence of them doing that. So again, why did you even have that in the first place? Why did
So
you even say that in the
okay.
first place?
So if Joe Biden had a similar set of cards, and it was Joe Biden in the office right now, he would have launched an attack on Iran. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, why not?
Why didn't he?
There's historical
Why didn't he?
evidence.
Why didn't he? Why did Obama? Why did Obama create the JCPOA? Why?
Why did Obama
Why?
bomb Libya and destroy
What the
Yemen?
fuck? What the fuck?
No, 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 no. Wait.
Dude, please, just answer the question. Just answer the question.
Again,
Why did
Chill.
Obama create the JCPOA even at the dismay of Israel? Why?
Again, even if it's what?
Even against the wishes of Israel. Why did Obama create the JCPOA? Why?
Even though it's what? Can you repeat that again?
Why did Obama create the JCPOA even against the wishes of Israel? Why?
Against the wishes of Israel. So now Obama have a problem with Israel?
I'm explaining to you that it's clear that
Is
Democrat
it for
president.
the safety? Wait. Is it for the safety of the people?
We're just move on. Holy fucking shit, bro. We're cycling through. Hopefully, Covey. I know
Hello?
Covey. Hopefully, we can have a great conversation. How's it going?
I'm good. I'm good. How about you?
Doing all right.
Yeah. I personally don't think that Iran would have been bombed. I do think that when it comes to foreign policy, though, both of them are very imperialist, and it's genocide is genocide at the end of the day. I think Obama didn't attempt to stabilize Libya at all. He just
Yep.
left a power vacuum, and there's a
Yes.
full-blown slave trade because of that. A slave trade that didn't exist prior to Gaddafi being toppled exists today, where people are actively being enslaved systemically, whether it is through the Tripoli-based government or the Haftar-based government. So, the question that I have here is, what is the material difference between democratically funded genocides and Republican funded genocides?
There is no difference in the funding of a genocide, regardless of the political affiliation. Both things are going to be bad.
Okay. And the
Yes.
UAE, by the way, if you look at what the UAE is doing in Sudan, which the previous guest was from Sudan, the 60,000 people were exterminated in 3 weeks in one single city, El Fasher. So when we look at
Okay.
Biden, who labeled the UAE as a strategic partner of America, a year or 2 years into the genocide, I think it was a year into the genocide, knowing full well what the UAE is doing, by the way, Anthony Blinken himself recognized that the RSF was doing genocide in Sudan. So the American government already recognized that the RSF was doing genocide. The American intelligence officials recognized that the UAE was deeply embedded in Sudan as well. There's a whole article in the New York Times about it with Sheikh Mansour, who's the vice president of the UAE, actively being in phone calls with the leader of the RSF. He still labeled them as a strategic partner.
Okay.
Yeah. So why are we pretending as if American Republican and Dem foreign policy isn't the same when it comes to imperialism in the global South?
So, a strategic partner or funding conflict is different policy than engaging in all-out war. That's an important distinction to make. Now, there's another thing. I don't believe that the United States should be strategic partners or partnered with countries. I don't know the exact justification that Joe Biden gave, but with countries that do not align with our interests, with governments that abuse their people, with governments that abuse dissidents, regardless of their position in office, with any kind of states that operate in that way. But that's the difference between a Democrat and Republican. That you won't see that level of pushback. You won't see that condemnation. You won't see those things within the Republican Party. And that's an important distinction to make. Republicans will justify a war in Iran with no justification. They'll go to that conflict. It's totally fine. They will not rain on his war powers. They will not do those things. Joe Biden naming a country that is controversial, that is engaging in conflicts, that is killing innocent people as a strategic partner, for what reason, I don't know. It's a wrong thing, sure, but there's a substantive difference in terms of outcome there, don't you think?
No, because he's still selling them weapons. Like I don't care about like lip service. I don't care if they say, you know what's his name? It was Malcolm X actually who said the conservative is gonna stab you in he's not gonna stab you in the back, he's gonna like show you his teeth to your face, whereas the liberal is gonna pretend like they're smiling at you, but they're gonna stab you in the back,
Bro.
right? Either way, like I don't. Malcolm X said
Wait, do you
that.
think I'm trying to do that?
I'm not saying you, I'm saying the Democratic Party.
Okay.
I'm saying
Do
when
you
it comes
think?
to foreign policy, even if they might say, even if they might offer
And
up lip
this is a great
service.
fucking point, by the way. This is really good. I'm glad you mentioned it. It's good.
Yeah, even if they might offer lip service, they're still funding the genocide, though,
Mhm.
right? And even if they, it's the same thing with Israel, right? Like you had some Dems like condemning what Israel was doing, and yet they were still funding Israel while it was genociding. I don't know if I should say genociding or genociding.
I don't think it really
Palestinian.
matters. I don't really.
It doesn't
Really
matter.
matters.
Okay, I don't know. Like some hosts have boundaries.
I know.
Yeah. So when it comes to specifically foreign policy, I'm not even talking about internal policy. Like internal like policy, I understand there is a difference between the Democrats and the Republicans, 100%. But when it comes to foreign policy, both of these parties engage in imperialism because the American establishment as a whole is dependent on imperialism.
So here's the thing. Like who comes to mind right now in my head, in terms of like strong, able, ready to win Democrat politicians are AOZ, Zoran Mamdani, Graham Plattner, James Salarico, just a few that come to my head. None of those individuals would be ever okay with going to conflicts in Iran, with supporting a genocide in Gaza, with supporting a genocide in any country, or displacements, or things of that nature. There is progression there. Now, obviously, Obama-era foreign policy is going to differ greatly from foreign policy now, because there's decades of separation, and I cherish it, and I love it. And the reason why I really like that you mentioned this is because it's clear that the Democratic Party is receptive. Candidates are not just, they're not openly saying, fuck it, I love Israel, I stand with Israel. Israel has a right to exist. Israel, as a Jewish state, has a right to exist. There's a difference now. And that's what I'm speaking to. That's that difference of learning from mistakes, of recognizing the impacts of policy, or domestic or overseas. I like that. That's good. That's a good thing. And it's important to recognize that huge distinction, because there's a reason why Joe Biden did not just engage in armed conflict during his presidency, regardless of whether or not he named the UAE as a strategic partner. There is a progression in policy. Progression. Huge. And that's an important thing, especially when you want a party in power that's going to make the world and America a better place. And I think that's somewhere we
Wait,
could definitely probably agree. Go for it.
AOC voted for the Iron Dome. Tallarico is funded by Adelson, who is one of the major
Talarico's.
Zionist funders.
Hold on.
Adelson. Yeah,
AOC did not vote for that defense appropriations package. She did not vote for it. That
are
is
you
an
sure?
amendment. That is, yep. No, I did the research on it. I have a video up on my page. It's a procedural vote by Marjorie Taylor Greene. And I think while AOC's rationale is something that I disagree with, we should not be funding Israel, I think it's reasonable, because she believes that if our concern is lives of people, I'm going by her quote here, then we should be ensuring that nobody dies. And if that's the
Somebody
case,
in the
then she
chat is
thinks
saying,
that it's justifiable to provide missile defense. No, it's HR 4016. You guys can check. It's the 2026
okay,
Defense Appropriations Act, Defense Department
yeah,
Appropriations Act.
but
She did not vote for it.
Tallarico, yeah,
Uh-huh.
Tallarico got a lot of funding from Adelson, who was one of the. I forgot what exactly she funded. She funded like a lot of settlements, if I'm not mistaken, or Hasbara. Um, like she's massively in bed with Netanyahu and his wife as well. Adelson, her name. I forgot what her first name is. Adelson is her last name.
But I'm
He got funding from her, and then Zora Mandani literally got married in the UAE, and and promoted his wedding in the UAE in the middle of a genocide, and didn't even call out the UAE once, right? That would be like somebody going to Israel, getting married, and then promoting the fact that they're getting married in Israel while they're genociding Palestinian people. Like Zoran Mamdani hasn't actually said much about what the UAE is doing in Sudan, and I understand that people downplay what's happening in Sudan, but it's the largest humanitarian crisis in the world currently. So many people were unalived in such a short period of time that you could see blood from satellite imagery. That is how many people are being unalived. And the fact that Zora Mamdani, you can laugh all you want. I'm just telling you, like, if you're listening to people from the global south, they don't care about whether it's a Democrat or a Republican, because both of these parties have actively destroyed the global south. which is a fact. When it comes to foreign policy, I mean, you can say internally you vote Democrat for internal reasons, which I understand, right? I'm not going to sit here and shame marginalized communities for voting Democrat. But when it comes to foreign policy, I think this level of gaslighting needs to stop, where people who are being actively genocide, by the way, there are 3 genocides happening currently, one in Congo, one in Palestine, and one in Sudan. And all 3 of these genocides were funded by Dems and by Republicans too. That's just a fact. And we can't sit here and downplay genocide and extermination.
Okay.
You know I'm right.
No, I just don't want to have, like, this is like, I've talked to essentially 5 people with the exact same opinions, and no matter what I do, no matter what I try to do, there's always some level of cope. Like James Salarico, what's
How
his
is it a
policy?
cope?
Hold on, what's James Salarico's policy prescription with regards to war? What is it?
Wait, how is it a cope? Can
Answer
you
my
explain how it's
question.
a cope?
Yeah, I'm trying to. Answer my question. What is James Salarico's policy with respect to war? Or Zoran Mamdani's
his
policy
policy?
with respect to war? It's no wars. It's speaking to the America's anger when it comes to the United States always being involved in conflicts that result in the death and displacement of innocent people. I just don't see how Miriam Adelson giving him money now like makes him a fucking asset for the
Miriam
Mossad.
Adelson is literally a #1 Netanyahu. Like, do you know that she funds multiple settlements in Israel?
Okay, dude.
Yes. If he actually doesn't believe in war, he should have rejected her money. If he actually listen,
I'm
if he's
I'm
gonna
sorry.
stand on business.
I want Democrats to win, and if that involves taking money from Miriam Adelson and not having to change her policy prescription to now being in support of Israel, which he is not, then take the money because you need to win. I want this country to change for the better. I want the world to change for the better. And it's clear that James Salarico is not a puppet for Israel. And if that was the case, I would be fucking voting for the guy. So I'm just
And
like,
I'm trying
if,
to tell you that, and I'm
Okay.
trying to tell you that as long as American foreign policy continues to work as it is and as it has continued under both parties, the world, specifically the global South, is not going to be a better place.
I
That's what I'm
agree.
telling you.
I agree with that.
Okay, and so then why aren't you holding Democrats accountable too?
I
When you
am.
sit here and
I criticize
no,
Obama
but
for the
you're
Libya like
downplaying it.
attack.
Hold on one second. You are downplaying it though. When you sit here and you pretend as
Come
if
on,
Dem foreign policy isn't harmful, right? And isn't imperialistic like Republican foreign policy is, that is not you holding them accountable. That is you whitewashing what they're doing in the global South. Like, again, you can be honest about what they're actively doing. Or you could just say you don't care. If you don't care, then fine.
That's
Just
crazy.
say
Don't
it.
do that. No, don't do that. No,
No,
stop.
no,
That's not funny.
I'm telling you again. You could say you don't care. Then I would say fine. I don't need to have this conversation with you. But my
Like,
problem is, you know what they say
uh,
in like alcohol, like you know what they say in AA, like you have to acknowledge that there's a
I've not
problem
been
in
to
order
AA.
to.
Not yet. Not yet. Soon.
Well, I've
maybe.
never been to AA too, but I kind of like low key heard about that. I know, like on Tumblr or
Okay.
something. But
Word.
But yeah, no, I've never been to AA either. But what I'm saying is you have to acknowledge that there is a problem in order to fix the problem. And the problem is that both Democrats and Republicans do engage in American imperialism that is actively funding and causing the destabilization of countries. Look at what's happening in Haiti under both parties. 5,000 people were unalived in a year. The death rate of Haitian children jumped up by 500%, right? In Haiti, it is as dangerous to be a child as it is in Gaza.
Oh, wait,
The
hold on.
same thing with
Hold
Sudan,
on. Hold on. Hold on.
Congo.
Hold on. It's like, here's the problem. And by the way, mic level, everybody, is that better? Is that better? I'm closer to the mic. Raise it a little bit. Are we good? How's it sound, guys? Waiting on the response. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Raise. Sounds good. Fuck you, Tiny Grass. This is good enough. Listen, I'm just joking, Tiny Grass. I love you. I just don't know how this got lost in translation, but I think it's clear. Well, you may not have seen me before. That's very likely. I'm not a big fucking creator. I'm fucking irrelevant. But I am for a restructuring of American foreign policy. The reason why I stand against the war in Iran, the reason why I stand against the conflict in Libya, the reason why I stand against all these things is because they're illegal. And those laws are not just, again, useless paper devoid of any substance or reason as to why they should be there. It matters because without those checks, There's instability, there's displacement, there's a lot of conflict, etc. And I just don't know where, throughout all these conversations, by simply me recognizing a difference in the way they approach foreign policy, anybody can be under the assumption that I don't criticize the Democratic Party. I do. There's a reason why they fucking lost, because they sucked in the last election. It's the thing that I see, my perception of the argument of the 5 people that have been here, I think it's 5 including you, is that there is no difference. There's no redeeming qualities. You've actually been different on that regard. You recognize differences in
When it
domestic
comes
policy,
to foreign policy,
not in any
no.
foreign. But I think there is. And you know what? Regardless of whether or not there's disagreements there, I think we agree in the fact that we should not engage in acts like that. And that to me is a good thing. That's a good sign. But I don't know. To me, the idea of bringing nuance to the conversation, doing all these things, is something that should be done always. Because then, again, it makes it seem as if these two parties are on similar standing when they're not. Like, it's very different. And I've clearly done a bad job of communicating that today. But, I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
I would highly recommend looking into like the Dems' foreign policy as well, because materially they're not really different. When we look at the material impacts and harms that they're causing both parties, because again, they have to engage in imperialism, because imperialism is the foundation of the American establishment. I mean, when we look at Black Americans were subjected to domestic imperialism, a colony within a state. That is stuff that Huey P. Newton was talking about with regards to how Black Americans and Indigenous Americans were experiencing domestic imperialism. And then when you see the foreign imperialism as well, like foreign policy, that is also inherently imperialist, right? So I would highly recommend that you
Wait, it's because when you say, is USAID imperialist?
USAID, yes.
So it's a
I
bad
literally have
thing.
USAID was created to actively uphold American interests. There's a CIA
Wait,
document
wait. Hold on. Like, I feel like, but it's like you don't see, just because it was founded on something bad does not necessarily mean that it's a bad thing now in practice.
It's still used for that, though. There's literally declassified CIA documents that I could send you that actively talk about how foreign aid can be used to further American interests, right? Foreign aid has historically and up until now been used to even fund like dissidents within anti-colonial liberation movements, right? And has been used to destabilize countries, has been used to make countries dependent on them.
I recognize that. I recognize
Hence
that.
why people like Thomas Sankara kicked out foreign aid, because aid has always been used to control populations. Now, the difference is, I don't agree with how Trump just got rid of it without creating an alternative for different communities, because him getting rid of that USAID so abruptly led to the closure of about 80% of food kitchens in Sudan.
Yeah,
for
the ending of
example.
PEPFAR led
So-
to the death of 300,000 people last time I checked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the whole point is, the death wasn't caused by USAID not existing there. The death was caused by it being abruptly stopped, because that dependency within itself was created by foreign aid, right? So you have to understand, like, if you want to listen,
Okay,
if
go for it.
yes. So if you want to talk about the global South and how it is intertwined with American policies and American internal politics as well, I'd highly recommend you to look into institutions like the IMF, the World Bank. There was a gentleman's agreement as well in 1949 that stipulated that only an American and a European director can head both of these institutions. And how these institutions are very, very exploitative, and they make these countries dependent on them, right?
I read about that in my Middle Eastern politics class. But
Exactly.
those international institutions, it was mainly after like the separation of like Western powers from the Middle Eastern region that mainly covered those kind of things. But it's just, when it comes to U.S. aid, do you think that a
Yes.
program like PEPFAR, established under Bush, was done with the intention of like furthering U.S. interests, or could this, let's say,
Yes.
okay, and even then, should it be disbanded? It saved 25 million lives, been incredibly effective at like expanding life expectancy, ensuring like children don't fucking die, for example. Don't you think that those things are good?
No, those lives there wouldn't have been a need to save those lives if America wasn't in those countries in the first place. The reason as to why, basically USAID is putting a band-aid on a gunshot wound, right? The reason as to why these communities are overexploited
It's because United
is
States
because of
instability, like the
is
scramble for
Western
Africa in
imperialism.
the late 1800s.
Exactly.
But
And the thing is when
wait, here's the thing.
but
Like,
but
wait,
but
wait,
when you
wait,
look
wait. I just like I recognize that there's been a lot of Western influence, specifically in Africa. I recognize that.
till
But
today,
but does that But does that mean that these things should not exist in the interim between a
but they're
time
not
where
beneficial if overall more money is still leaving Africa than entering it.
well
Like
that's going to
more
happen in
even
unstable like countries and
no,
continents
but it's being done on purpose, is my point. It's
that
being
you
done on purpose. More money
mm,
is leaving Africa than entering. For example, in 2015, about $162 billion entered Africa, even with aid taken into account, right? With foreign aid. But in that same year, over $200 billion left Africa, which means it was in an economic deficit by more than $41.3 billion.
wait, but
And
why did that money leave Africa? Is it
through
firms in
these
the area or like
what do you say?
what? Like what in particular created the $50
Oh,
billion dollar
multinational
deficit?
corporations
Yeah.
not paying enough taxes. Um,
But that
within those
like again with
countries,
that
and
like that's yeah.
also CFA franc and different other currencies, like the colonial currency that was implemented by France as well. Like these multinational corporations continue basically robbing and over exploiting the continent, and then coming back and saying, see, we're giving you foreign aid, therefore we're doing a good thing. But then they use that foreign aid in order to continue furthering their interests and staying within the continent, right? And the
So
problem
you
I'm
think
saying is
okay, go for
Mhm.
it. Actually, yeah, finish your thought. Sorry. I thought you were done.
no. So what I'm saying is there wouldn't have been a need for foreign aid if that over exploitation didn't exist, if that exploitation wasn't happening, right? And that foreign aid actually is making countries dependent on being exploited. And so instead of actually advocating for foreign aid, which by the way, the CIA itself admitted that foreign aid was created to be used to further American interests within these countries, um, uh, I don't know. Like it's soft power basically. The same way sanctions are also another form of soft power, because the American
But the thing
military
about
doesn't.
those things is like those methods tend to be better and they yield better results. Like for example, coercive diplomacy is how we got the JCPOA, which would have been a non-nuclear proliferation agreement that, if it stood, probably could have led to some decent actual diplomatic relations with the country of Iran, which was probably never going to happen. Based on the prior trajectory, no one would have believed that would have been the case. With something like U.S. aid, like a program with PEPFAR, for example, if there are firms that take advantage of the weaker governments and they manage to get past all these things and like enrich themselves without much taxation or all those that's policy that needs to be changed within those countries. I don't know if that necessarily means that we should get rid of those programs.
Wait, you
Like,
think sanctions are
unless
good?
it depends. Yeah, I think sanctions can be
Wait,
good. Yeah.
sanctions destroy African countries. Like for example,
Because governments tend to have the goods concentrated at the top, right?
No. That's not why sanctions destroy
That's
the
a,
econ. For
for
example,
example, in
right?
Iran, the reason why they managed to withstand so much economic pressure is because the RGC has a resistance economy that allows for them to continue to survive and grow and enrich themselves, notwithstand, in spite of all the economic pressure levied on them by all those other external actors.
No, not really. For example, I come originally from a country called Eritrea. Please look into how American sanctions completely destroyed the country. That it ended up like
What
basically the
country?
government is poor. Eritrea. It's in East Africa. It's a Horn African country. And look as to how the American government, which by the way, the American government funded the genocide of Eritrean people first and foremost, and then once Eritreans gained independence in '93. Because they refused to comply with the American government, America decided to implement a lot of sanctions, including fraudulent sanctions that they pushed the United Nations to implement in 2009 because they accused it of funding al-Shabaab in Somalia, when that was never the case, by the way. There was no actual substantial proof of that. But the sanctions destroyed the country. The country is now dependent on money being sent back by diasporan Eritreans, right? So And sanctions are used to punish countries because for the first 30 years, by the way, the American government funded the Eritrean genocide, where about 20% of the population was exterminated. And then after Eritrea became independent, then they used sanctions to punish the country. So sanctions are actually a tool that are used to punish countries. Hence why people like Thomas Sankara actively ended up
Like
kicking out.
here's the thing though. Like I don't know why this is getting lost in translation. Things can be implemented in such a way that are negative, but sanctions were pretty good in the case of the JCPOA. That coercive diplomacy got a run to the table, and depending on the state, depending on the country, obviously the effects can be worse or bad or good or etc. Can result. They are a punishment, yeah, but you should punish countries like Russia. You should punish countries like Iran, depending on whatever it is that they're engaging in. That isn't, and if you provide an example of something not being good in practice, that doesn't mean that it shouldn't exist as a tool. Sanctions should not be
No, but
imposed
the
on every
thing
country.
is,
We should not have an embargo on Cuba, for example. But it doesn't mean that those things should not be used in the international landscape.
they shouldn't be used because America has never done anything altruistically. The reason as to why America is implementing these sanctions is not because it cares about the humanitarian perspective, is because it wants to continue upholding its hegemony within these regions, right? That's precisely why it uses sanctions. Like, it's not using sanctions, it's actively starving people in the global south just so it can continue upholding its hegemony within that region. It does not give a damn about human rights, because if it actually gave a damn about human rights, it would have actually maybe done something against, I don't know, protecting the human rights of Black people within America. Maybe it would have done that. I don't know. If the American government actually cared about human rights, the same way that they were able to find bin Laden, maybe they would have ended sundown towns in America. Why the fuck do sundown towns still exist in 2026? If the American government was able to find some random dude in flip-flops in some mountains in Pakistan, you mean to tell me that they wouldn't be able to I don't know, end sundown towns? They wouldn't be able to help indigenous people, Black American people? They wouldn't be able to, I don't know, stop, maybe enforce their own Leahy laws? The Leahy laws that prevent the American government from sending weapons to countries that are engaging in genocide. Maybe they would have actually implemented the Leahy laws to stop sending weapons to Israel, to the UAE, to Rwanda, right? But the only reason that they use sanctions is not because of humanitarian perspective. Even USAID, they do not give a damn about Black or brown people. They don't care, right? They only use them to control, and they use them to uphold Western hegemony.
I don't think
That's
you
the
could speak
issue
to
that
that
I have.
malicious intent in the case of PEPFAR. You can't do it.
You wait, hold on. You think the American government actually cares?
Hold on.
Genuinely.
Hold on. When you say actually cares, that question doesn't really matter much. It's a question of whether or not they are doing this with the intent of preventing the development of an industrial base in these countries. That's what matters. So there's 350,000 employed individuals across Africa who went unpaid because PEPFAR was shut down as an agent. The USAID was shut down as an agency. And in the case of PEPFAR specifically, obviously 25 million people saved over just a couple of decades, 2 decades and a half, if I remember correctly. I don't think you could speak to the intent that they did these things as mean to chomp down on possible like innovation and development in those countries.
Yes, they did it with the intent of keeping their presence on the African continent. Yes, 100%.
But those are not the two same things. Like trying to build future trading partners is different than doing this as a means to keep these countries sedentary, to prevent innovation and development.
They are, though. They are keeping them under. The reason as to why these countries are destabilized is because of that exploitation. Like, again,
USAID is exploitation? Or,
USAID
sorry, you mean like prior
furthers American interests, and American interests are inherently exploitative when it comes to the African continent. Yes. So when the UAE does this, by the way, as well, the UAE comes in, it says, I'm investing in food security, energy security, I'm building hospitals, I'm helping people, I'm giving them aid. But what it does is it just goes in there to control the lifeline of these countries. And once it controls the lifeline of these countries,
I know that's your position. I just like...
It's not my position. That's what the UAE does.
No, I mean, reference to USAID. I know you're saying that's what the UAE does, and you're describing like similar intent.
Should I give you the CIA document of them explaining this? Because I have it.
There's CIA documents that say, like, we shot up homeless people with a bunch of fucking drugs as a mean to find out whether or not we could mind control them. I'm like, that doesn't mean that that's the current conduct of the American government.
No, but that's what they still did, though. And if they're saying that USAID if they're saying foreign aid is being used to further American interests, I don't know why you wouldn't believe them. And if we can see that they're actively doing
foreign
that,
policy, fiscal policy, domestic policy in general differs greatly depending on the administration, the leaders in power, the appointed officials, etc.
no, and I'm telling you, when it comes to foreign policy and imperialism, it doesn't differ. It has been the same way. The American government the American establishment, regardless of party, has engaged in about 728 military interventions since its creation. About 20% of those were since 2001, if I'm not mistaken. It has over 800 military bases in over 80 countries. It is inherently imperialistic, and either party, regardless of who is in power, still continue upholding said system. Hence why even Obama, who is black, still ended up upholding that system. Hence why he went and destabilized Libya. He went and bombed Yemen. He went and couped the president of Honduras. He went and caused a lot of chaos himself. And I think like negating American foreign policy, you're not holding Democrats accountable, which, like, I'm not even going to bother addressing Republicans. I'm not even going to bother addressing Republicans. Okay, these are like
I did hold
neo-Nazis.
Democrats accountable. I did.
You're
though.
downplaying it though. You're
'Cause
downplaying it because you don't
materially
effectively
different.
fully.
They are. They're substantively different.
When
in
it
terms
comes
of
to
intent.
foreign policy, genocide is genocide, and destabilization is destabilization. And to pretend as if only
No, it's not.
Republicans.
If you're going to okay, let me explain to you why it's like a different thing. If you're going to Libya with the intention of unseating an individual that you believe is abusive, is really bad for the government, etc., and then you create a power vacuum, you fuck it all up, shit goes to shit, boom, now there's slavery. And if you go to Venezuela because you believe that Maduro is a authoritarian dictator, and what you do is just allow for the vice president to come in, there's a substantive difference right there, don't you think?
So if Obama actually cared, why didn't he actively put in stabilizing policies in Libya?
Because he doesn't have the political capital to shift American military operations
So
to a
then he
different
doesn't
country.
care about Libyan people.
That's not what that means. I feel like that's
he
bro.
doesn't care about Libyan people. If you just go in there and destabilize their government and you remove their president, right? But then you do not bother initiating a transitionary period where the country doesn't become a shithole country, then you do not give a damn about the people. There's ever since 2011, there have been multiple civil wars. Like, the country is divided up into two different governments right now. You have the Haftar, Khalifa. By the way, do you know where Khalifa Haftar was prior to this?
Tell me.
Yeah, he lived in Virginia, about 20 or 10 minutes away from the Pentagon. Right? So now you have Khalifa Haftar, a man who has links to the CIA. By the way, I think the New Yorker wrote an article about this, whether the New Yorker or the Atlantic. This man has links to the CIA. So you mean to tell me that this man, who is currently, by the way, ruling eastern Libya, which is participating in the Sudanese genocide, who is enslaving people and receiving money from the European Union, this guy was only able to take power over eastern Libya because Gaddafi was toppled. And if Obama actually cared about Libyan people, if he actually cared about what was happening to Libyan people on the ground, he would have actually helped design or create a transitionary phase or a period where it would transition into another leader instead of just, I don't know, destroying their government and just leaving. So clearly he didn't care.
Wait, no,
and
no,
also,
is that what he did? I'm not super well versed on Libya
yes.
specifically.
Also, by the way,
Let me see.
have you heard of the 7 countries in 5 years?
No.
Yeah, so look into General Wesley Clark. He worked for the Pentagon. He worked in the Pentagon. And he talked about a memo that he had received from Rumsfeld, in which 7 countries were supposed to be destroyed in 5 years. And one of those 7 countries was also Libya. By the way, Libya, Sudan was one of those countries.
So Obama did actually put in the hands of leaders which I believe is something that you probably would have supported. I don't think you would have supported the United States actually trying to establish themselves in Libya to create a state, right?
I wouldn't have
Like that.
I wouldn't have supported the United States even being there in the first place.
Okay, but you're speaking to Obama's intent, and the reason why you're saying
Yeah,
that
if
Obama.
he
Hold on.
cared.
Yeah, exactly. If he cared, he would have tried to establish a like new democratic state. He
He
tried
would
to.
no, he would have helped in the transitionary period. Yes, he wouldn't have just, I don't know, made a mess and then left. 100%. Yes.
That's what they attempted to do.
No, they didn't. Not really.
Yeah, that UN resolution, all those things. They,
A UN
well,
resolution is
his approach,
nothing,
his approach, bro. His approach in particular was a softer touch. Was one to leave it essentially to the hands of the leadership that was currently there, that aligned with U.S. interests. Now, obviously, that failed. That failed. But at the end of the day, wouldn't that have been like still better than whatever Donald Trump is doing in Iran, for example?
No,
No,
because
but it's speaking to
over
intent. That's a sub.
intent.
Bro, that intent matters.
There's a full-blown
That
slave
intent
trade
matters
in
as a means to
Libya.
differentiate.
David, do you understand how many people are dying? There's a full-blown slave trade in
I'm
Libya,
not getting this through to
David.
you. I recognize that Libya's in a really bad state. I don't think Obama
No, but
should
I'm
have
saying,
launched
but
an
I'm saying, do you
offensive,
understand
yeah.
that Black African people are being enslaved in Libya?
Yes,
Do you know
well,
that?
I haven't verified that myself, but sure, I'll take your word for it.
Yes. Look into that. They're being sold
no,
like
that's
donkeys.
a substantive difference, right? If democracy,
no.
hold on, there is. If democracy inevitably failed, then that's bad. I don't support Obama's offensive in Libya either. But at the end of the day, it wasn't really necessarily an offensive either. But at the end of the day, those two things are substantively different.
They're
are.
not different. I'm saying
It doesn't mean that it
impact.
doesn't. Okay, I'm not speaking to the material impact. I'm speaking to the intent, to the approach of
I
foreign
don't
policy.
care about the
Because
intent.
It does.
Impact
No,
over
I'm sorry,
intent.
but it matters.
No, but
I know.
impact-
Yeah, impact over intent doesn't mean to cope and say that they're both the same because they inevitably result in a destabilized country. But it's not the case. Those two things are very different.
Wait, what
when
is that one
when
what is that-
Obama is going to war, it's not because he doesn't like the leader Khamenei and he's like fuck him, and then we'll leave Iran to its own devices. It was a humanitarian crisis. They had a UN coalition, even though he didn't have approval, which he should have. He should have. And that's why I don't support these things, because legality matters, that regularity matters, that predictability matters. All those things definitely fucking matter. I do not support that offensive. Those two things are still very different. Those two things are still very different. So when you evaluate future instances that may or may not be similar, those things need to come into
So
mind.
intent matters
Because
is what
Donald
you're
Trump
saying.
is not going to run as a means to do what? Yes, intent does matter. Hold on, let me explain to you why intent matters. Because in the eyes of the American people, when you both say that they're essentially the same thing, that means that the rationale behind voting for them essentially goes away. There's no longer a justification to vote for Obama over Donald Trump if they're still going to launch attacks to depose leaders they don't like. When Donald Trump is launching an attack off the back of intel that he received from Netanyahu and all of his cabinet officials and all this shit because Donald Trump likes opulence, because he likes big fucking wins, because he likes to parade around and say, look at what I just did. I just killed a terrorist. That's different than Obama and a UN coalition trying to first depose a leader, then try and build a democracy in his place. Those two things are different. And that should play a big role in the calculus of the average voter when approaching the foreign policy mistakes and successes of Democrats and Republicans.
Okay, so have you heard of residential schools?
You didn't engage with what I just said.
I promise that. Yeah, I am trying to engage with what you just said with regards to intent. Have you heard of? I
Wait,
promise.
Because we're speaking about the
promise it's gonna
intent
make
of the
sense. No, I
voter
promise
and
it's gonna make
why that distinction
Yeah,
matters.
I promise it's gonna make sense to you. I
Okay,
promise
go
it's gonna
for
make
it.
sense.
Tell me. Why does it make sense?
Yeah, have you heard of residential schools?
No.
You wait, like boarding schools, like the indigenous.
Oh
boarding
yes, I
schools?
know what boarding schools are. Yes, I went to
Okay,
a boarding school.
and do you know-
Wait, no,
do you know
I didn't
how
go to boarding
harmful-
school. I went to charter school. I'm being fucking stupid right now. Sorry, keep going.
No. It's not about your.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah,
about
yeah.
indigenous boarding schools. Have you heard of those?
Indigenous boarding schools in particular, like no.
Oh, so you didn't hear about the policy, the American government, when it was taking away indigenous children from their families and putting them in boarding schools to erase
What year
their
was
culture.
this? What year was this?
This was like in the late 1800s to the early 1900s.
What year
So-
did Obama launch his offensive?
No,
hold on.
one
No,
second. I
no,
promise
no.
it's gonna make sense. Wait,
no.
1 second. I promise it's gonna
No,
make
it's
sense.
fucking not.
I
You
promise
cannot
it's gonna
strip
make sense.
children
No,
from
no,
their
no.
parents in
Wait,
modern
hold on.
America to put
Hold
them
on.
into schools where they can
Okay.
change them and whitewash them and change
Okay.
their cultural background.
And
That's
you know
not
the
happening right
person
now. This
who
is not
created
this is not
said-
analogous.
Wait, hold on. Wait, 1 second. You know the person who created said boarding schools, General Richard Henry Pratt, in his
Obama.
speech, and what he said?
What'd he say?
He said he cared about indigenous people and he wanted to save them.
Okay.
In his speech, his intent was.
I
that's
hope
what
you
he
know
said.
this is literally the argument against Planned
No.
Parenthood and abortions. Like, this is
No, no,
so
no,
stupid.
No.
It is. No, it
This
is.
no,
It's
this
literally
is
the
not
exact.
Planned
It is the
Parenthood.
exact
That's
same
not what I'm
argument.
saying. I'm
It's
trying
because
to
the
show you
leader
that
was saying,
intent
"Oh, he wanted to
doesn't
save
matter.
people." Okay, it does
No,
because
I'm
you're
saying-
describing malicious intent.
No,
that the
hold
United.
on.
Okay,
You
wait.
do
I
not
have a question. I
know
have a question for you. I have a
Obama's-
question for you.
wait, can
I have a question for
please
you. Hold on.
finish?
I have a question
Can
for
I
you.
please finish?
Did
I've been letting you
Obama?
finish.
No,
I've been
you
letting
haven't
you
been
finish, though.
engaging with a single point I'm making.
I
Did
am
Obama
engaging
go to
what you're
Libya with the
saying.
intent of destabilizing the country and letting people fucking
we
die?
don't know his intent. We know his
Exactly!
impact. So why are you trying to say his intent was good?
Because that
Why are you
matters
trying to
in
say
the
his intent was
calculus
good?
of the voter when all you do is sow mistrust and hatred and make it seem like every action is essentially indistinguishable from one another. You're making it seem as if both parties in this country do the exact same
First
shit,
of
and
all,
that's not
I don't
true.
know why you're yelling. I don't
Because
know
it's
why you're
annoying.
yelling.
All right, bro, I'm not doing this shit.
Wait, can I please finish?
No, I'm done. My social battery's at fucking 0. This is ridiculous. Like, that's what you're gonna have to take away from what I just fucking said? Like, are you dead ass? Lock in, bro. I'm fucking done. Okay, I'm done. I tried. Listen, Obama should not have launched an offensive with the UN coalition into Libya. That should not have been supported. There you go. Let me up. No, I'm done. Oh my God. Let me up. No, I'm good. Respect my boundaries, dude. Let me be. I'm good. Fuck. Iran, yes. And I'm a misogynist, apparently. Not gonna lie. Stop it. What? You know that I kicked off the male speakers in almost the exact same way, if not more disrespectful earlier? I did it to the last fucking 5 people regardless of their sex or gender. What the fuck? What are we doing? What are we doing? You were not being respectful, by the way. You're like, "Oh, do you know about the indigenous boarding schools?" And I was like, "No." And you're like, oh. Like, what? So is that respect? I'm sorry? What? I will read some more books, and I will be more well-read on the UAE and their impacts and Libya and all those things. I got you. But like, what? Well, you should know that. Then what the fuck? You see the different treatment? This is fucking crazy. Oh my God. Okay, well, if you enjoyed the stream and want to continue seeing my For You page, drop a follow. Covey, if you want to have this conversation some other day, it's important that we could. I agree. We should criticize Democrats. I agree. I never disagree with that. If you want to have this conversation some other day, I'm more than welcome to. As a matter of fact, you can shoot me a DM. We can set that shit up. I'd love to. It'd be great. I'd love it. We can continue it. But right now, the social battery is at 0, and I want to go to bed. So, listen. It's been real. If you guys want to continue seeing my For You page, drop a follow. Okay? If you don't, it's okay. Probably see me again if I ever have a conversation with Covey again. With that being said, I love you all so much. Stay safe. Don't do anything stupid. Don't kill yourself. Don't break the law. Eat healthy. Sleep even better. Overachieve at school. Overachieve at work. And I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye, guys. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Goodbye, guys. Holy fuck. That was misogynist.